Okay, and we're live. We're live, guys. We're live. Hello. This is Hex Foodies. I just did some push-ups in order to change my mind a little bit. And oh my goodness, am I having to breathe after that one. If you guys ever want to have some fun, get one of these mics and then listen to yourself all throughout your room. So you're like literally listening through somebody else's ears. So HEXrayvision advised that I get these headsets and these Yeti mics, and I got this stuff for future guests in person. Let's see, where is it? This is what it looks like. Okay, so the other guy's face that I have on the video right now, that's a Norwegian guy, and he's talking about mob breeding. And this mob breeding came to my attention because of our very own Finbear in the Hex community, who should be joining me soon. What this guy's talking about is taking notes while you put your cattle out on your land. And if you ever have to help out your cattle, then you take a note of like, I helped this one out. If they acquire a lot of notes, then it's kind of time to pull them back from the breeding. So you're slowly recognizing what you have at your fingertips. I got to make sure that that I've got this all on YouTube, because if we don't have anybody watching on YouTube, then Hex Streamers doesn't pick it up and broadcast it to everybody. And I think our very own Togo is on top of it, but I don't know. So let me just make sure that I at least have another one going. Ooh. But I don't know. You see, I found it then. All right. So I'm just going to have this running in the background. So you're making the notes, you're observing your cattle out on the property, just as you would any plant that you put in the ground. And you're analyzing over time. People say in permaculture, it takes a year to get used to your property. Go live out on your land before you make any edits to it, and really actualize in your head a mathematical equation of how these systems are all working together, and become a part of it and skew it how it can benefit you. And so what this guy's doing is he's making notes of his cattle, and he's slowly getting down to the cattle that he wants. But he's also keeping in mind that you don't necessarily want the same thing that the farmer on the other side of town has. So he's having fun with it, and he and Richard Perkins, who is the interviewer, yeah, he's the interviewer in this instance. I think he's in Finland. He might be in Norway. I'm not sure. Finbear will tell us, because it seems as though Finbear's favorite person is Richard Perkins. So they have this idea of breeding programs where they want to take on chickens. They want to do stuff with cattle. If it is that you're a optimistic Hexican and you're a badass, you could take them up on this. You could maybe get in touch with them. You could start watching all of their videos. You could come into our group, Hex Foodies, at Telegram. We're also on YouTube and Facebook, Hex Foodies. But come into our group, and Finbear and whomever else would gladly supply you links to have this conversation about how you could become a more self-sufficient person in this world, making the world a better place. Hex is at 40 cents, y'all. 40 effing cents. Oh my goodness. Finbear, you ready to come on? I see you over there. Shake your head. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
buddy.
good, man. How you doing? Can you hear
Good.
me okay?
I hear you great. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I don't know where the rest of our gang is, but thanks for representing.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave you hanging. And yeah, I got the kids in at the right time from the hobbies and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely making this. Looks like I see familiar faces here.
Yeah. Yeah. So remind me of who this guy is. He's a Norwegian guy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he's from. This is from Richard. What's his last name? Richard's channel. This guy, yeah.
So
They're
this is
talking
Richard
about map.
Parkins here.
Yeah. He's the most successful farmer there is in Europe. There isn't a single guy who makes more money on an acre than that guy.
Wow.
And the Norwegian fella is he's an expert in map breeding, which is something that I've been looking into. It's really interesting to me.
Are you thinking about taking him up on their talks about what it takes to do a chicken experiment?
Yeah, they were talking about raising like poultry just for pasture, like a different kind of a breed. But that would require such like dedication that I don't think I'd be the right guy to do it. I would be happy to like buy the chickens when somebody has already done the breeding, so I could like support it that way. But I don't think I have the time or the know-how to, keep following chickens. they all look the same to me, man.
Right. But as I
Yeah,
understand it, you'll start naming them. You'll start to see the little
yeah,
distinctive nature.
yeah. That's like the biggest mistake if you're supposed to eat them. You don't
Right.
want, yeah, you don't want to name them like after your deceased grandma or something. You grow these unhealthy relationships to your animals. Like they're there for a purpose, usually.
Right. So I had to listen or watch this, I think 3 times. Like I'm 2.5 times through it
Yeah,
because there's so many little things that are jargon statements, I guess,
yeah,
that
yeah. But
went right over my head.
there's a lot of gold nuggets in there, but you have to, and of course he speaks Norwegian. I know as a Finnish guy, it's probably not the easiest to like understand what I'm saying, but he has this Norwegian twang, which takes a little bit of time to get used to. But he speaks good English on a very like complex topic. So you can see that he's been around the block a few times.
Yeah, I was admiring how, English obviously isn't his first language, but he's done a really, really good job. And both of these guys, right? English isn't their first language, or
Yeah,
Perkins. Where
Richard
was
is
Perkins?
yeah he's English. Yeah,
Okay.
he
Yeah.
he has a wife who is Swedish.
That's how
But
he ended up.
I'm getting a feeling that his wife actually might be like of Finnish descent. So she's like a second generation Swede or something, just from what they've named their dog and stuff like that. I, he's not spoken about it, but I'm getting a feeling that that might be the case. But yeah, I think he's lived in Sweden for maybe 10 years or something.
So, yeah, whenever you go on live stream and you put yourself on the screen, there are certain things that cannot lie, and you just give away information as you go, and you become more known to people who are on the other side of all this, who are witnessing it from their human perspective, and they're just gaining
Yeah.
more and more information, and you know nothing about them. It's so funny.
Yeah, but it's like you don't have to watch like even that many streams. People give out little pieces, like tidbits of information that any sort of thinking human starts to put these pieces together, and you start to form a picture of like more of like a, I don't know if holistic is probably not the right word in the context, but still like more of the human as a whole, and not just the things that they're talking about.
The tendril that you have your attention on that person starts to grow and develop, but
Yeah,
it's still just a tendril. It's not necessarily a holistic situation.
yeah.
With,
But anyways, like I have a feeling that if I met like Hexo in a store or something, I'd go and say hi to him like I would know him, and he'd be like, oh, get the fuck away from me, man.
no, he's
Yeah, because you make friends only like one way. So like you don't know anything about the people who watch you. So yeah, that's what I meant. I'm gonna
maybe
spam the
Hexo.
link real quick.
Please do. Maybe
Yeah.
Hexo put on a smile for me because I met him at the same place I met HEXrayvision and Rogue Herbalist. But I think he was kind of used to it because he was already a celebrity in that instance in Las Vegas. So maybe if you saw him in a store, maybe he'd be a little bit weirded out. I don't know how many times a day Hexo sees another Hexican. Probably just his wife.
Yeah. I've not met anybody like that. I don't know yet. I'm still waiting for the day that somebody, like a friend of a friend or something, somebody comes and tells me like a big secret, man. Hey, I've heard about this.
Is there a group out there?
What do you mean for Finnish people?
Yeah. Is there a group in your area?
There's a group for Finnish people. We have like a Telegram chat for Finns.
Okay.
We have a Telegram chat for Scandinavians, which is like the Finns, the Swedes, the Danish, the Norwegian.
What are they talking about? What do they do?
No, we just talk about the regular stuff. There's a lot of like new guys who are probably not so they're not so certain about their language skills, and they rather speak Swedish or Norwegian or whatever. So we try to have something for everybody, so that doesn't become like a hindrance for your, like, so that you get enough information, like good information, to decide whether you want to get in or not.
Are they trying to hit up the meetup idea yet? Are they hitting that wall?
We have there's been talk with the guys about holding a meetup somewhere. Of course, I'm thinking like Lapland. That would be sweet. Plenty of space. Like if we went there just when we have like fresh snow and stuff, it's nice. Like all the skiing resorts open, but there's not that many people, so you don't have to stand in line for anything.
Are your kids old enough to ski yet?
Yeah, they're all, like, if they're old enough to walk, you can just downhill skiing's easy. You put the helmet on and just gravity takes care of it, and then speed corrects all minor mistakes.
I thank my parents for putting me on skis. My dad tells a story of the first time that I got off the lift with him and I just went straight down the slope and then cut edge right before a cliff.
Yeah.
And he said that his heart and stomach joined, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a saying that goes like that, but it's a little bit more sort of, it's not for children. So I don't want to, like, I don't know what your plans are with the channel, so I don't want to start cursing out too much.
Oh, I assume it'll just find its way. It'll find its freedom. It'll move around like roots inside concrete cracks.
Yeah, it'll find the space, and if something doesn't happen immediately, you can just wait for one freeze, one thaw cycle, and the crack's a bit bigger, and then it goes deeper and deeper. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
I was looking for your show and tell. I had an idea about what I wanted to show you, but I couldn't find it. I have this knife that has a really short blade. It's like shorter than my thumb. It's like very short, and it's curved, so it's perfect for like fiddling and stuff. And I like to do stuff like that with my hands. And it's good for if you wanna, what's it called? Like say I prune an apple tree and I wanna take the stems and graft them onto it. Yeah. So like for grafting apple trees, it's perfect because it's a short, stubby but very sharp knife, and because it's short, you're less likely to like cut the tips of your fingers, and it's really easy to control. Did you know that you can take an apple tree twig now that it starts to go dormant? Once the leaves fall off, you can keep it in the fridge, like in a plastic bag wrapped in wet newspaper, and it keeps in the fridge for the next spring. Then you can take it when the sap starts rising in the trees outside. You can take your apple tree and you can graft it to the side of a rowan, for instance. So you can have a tree that's like uh, the beginnings of it is a rowan with the rowan rootstock and everything. But if you graft an apple tree to the tip, it's just a rowan from the bottom and apple on top, and there's just a line there. But that's a easy way to get production apples if you don't have any apple trees in the ground, because you sort of hitchhike on the rootstock that already existed on the tree.
So in my area, it's a plum tree that
Yeah.
we graft onto because
Yeah. You
has
can
the
you
best
can
root system.
graft it onto, like you can graft a cherry on it, or a plum, or a pear. Like there's a lot of trees that you can mix and match and create these like monster trees that have like several different what is it, families of fruits on different branches of the tree.
Oh
There are
wow,
these,
you
yeah,
can do it up each branch?
yeah, you can have like I've seen videos of these what were they called, like these monster trees that have like 100 different varieties of apples and a few peaches or whatever. You can actually graft a potato with a tomato. You want to have the bottom part of the potato and the top part of the tomato, because otherwise people are going to think you're a fool. But you can have a tomato plant like on top of the ground, but it's a potato under the ground. That is unbelievable, but it's doable.
What does it taste like?
Well, tomato pot is like just regular tomato.
I wonder if there's any like nutrient gain or loss based on what the root system needs.
Probably, but still, it's viable. Like it grows potatoes in the roots just like a potato would,
Yeah,
and it grows tomatoes on the vine just like the tomato would.
because they're both nightshade family. They're both
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same family.
yeah. And you can graft them when they're like the right size, when they're not like too big and too far out, but when they're sort of right, sort of similar size in stock and not too far gone yet.
So if anybody's wondering what you should do with your tomato suckers after you pinch them off,
Yeah,
take them over to your
yeah,
potatoes.
yeah.
And then,
and then have your grandma go like, what the, what's growing? I swear I planted potatoes in the backyard. Look at it. It's all tomatoed up.
oh goodness. Yeah, so that's wonderful. I never have thought about it. So do you recommend any specific videos for grafting?
I've just watched like the generic how to graft apple trees stuff.
Okay.
I've not seen any sort of like wonderful stuff that would be like extraordinarily great. This Richard fella, he has some interesting tree projects going on in his farm. He has he grows different kinds of I think he had like walnuts and stuff like that growing there, which is very unorthodox. Nobody grows walnuts or chestnuts or anything like that up here, and he reckons they might actually survive. And even if the trees that he planted there might not survive, but it might bring about some kind of a genetic alteration in the seeds, and maybe one of the offspring of his trees might be the kind that would survive up here with the low amount of light in the winter and very cold winters. I don't know what's keeping them back actually. Like the Canadians have all these wonderful big trees, like all these. I don't even know what they're called. Like massive trees, and I don't think their winters are much colder than ours. Like we only have like spruce, pine, birch, and a little bit of alder or something, but that's just about it. You guys were a lot more clever with your mountains going like north to south. So when the ice age started and the ice started to pull back, all the trees could go like back up. But our mountains go like east to west. So once the ice age and the ice starts to go back up, there's the mountains and all the good trees are down south, not up here.
So they don't make it over the ridge?
Yeah, they've not made it. And of course, there's like the the we're sort of in the cooling period from the warm period of the Middle Ages, when Vikings could grow wheat in Greenland. They had like they could grow oats and stuff over there in the fields when they moved there. But once it started to cool over, they abandoned many of the settlements over there. That's when they abandoned the settlements on the American side as well. Like everybody knows that Columbus wasn't first who was there.
So they started abandoning settlements when the mini ice age hit, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the mini ice age was like, when was it? 17, 1800s.
17, yeah.
Yeah, when like the rivers on the Thames were frozen every winter, so they would have like a winter like a marketplace on the ice of the Thames, and that's when the Dutch came up with curling.
Okay.
Because you could roll the rocks on the frozen canals and stuff.
Have you ever done that thing where you skip a rock on frozen pond and then it's bing, 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 bing?
Oh yeah.
I never have done
nice.
that.
Yeah,
I bet it would be cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Of course, you can do it on water as well, but when there's like half a centimeter of ice, you can really slide it down. Like if you're really careful, you can have it roll for a really long time. It's wonderful. Like my kids are like 10 and younger, so they're really into stuff like that. So it's gonna be cool this fall. I'm gonna take a video and post it on YouTube, so you get to share it.
Cool. Yeah, I was just talking to my girlfriend the other day about how there was this mini ice age, and she had no idea. And I was like, yeah, the reason why I caught on to it was because there was violins that were made from wood that was conditioned during the mini ice age, and these violins were done by a specific violin master maker.
Stradivarius. Yeah, Stradivarius. Right. Yeah.
And with the wood from that time. So
yeah,
it was those two
everybody
things
was
that made it.
everybody was like, I wonder why these these violins, they just sort of have a good ring to them, and it's because it's so tight because of the cold summers when there's not a lot of spring wood to be grown. So yeah, you get really tight, sort of tight grain structure. This stuff is up my alley because I'm studying to be a carpenter. So we've just gone through stuff like this.
So I've been making current events notes all throughout the week because I've just wanted things to talk about here. I wonder if we could make, or if anybody's thought about making an NFT for Hex, like advertisement, and then just like placing it in people's wallets. Can people see just like random NFTs? Oh, really? They do it?
Like Hextoys sell their toys as NFTs, and once they sell enough of them or sell all of them, they get into production, and then you get to trade your NFT for the physical toy. That's how I think that stuff works for them.
I need to go check them out a little bit further.
Yeah. I like the video. I like the video where the Richard doll is dancing and doing all the moves. It's freaking awesome.
What was their first product that they brought out?
They did the Richard doll with the Hawaii shirt and the captain's hat, and it came with the physical hex token.
Was so it's a little wobble head?
No, it's more like one of those He-Man characters.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it has like clothes out of fabric, not plastic like He-Man.
Good deal.
Yeah. I don't know. You're probably a bit younger than me. I don't know if you ever played with He-Man, but it was the shit when I was a kid.
I look like I'm 10 years younger than what I am, and I'm probably only like 3 years outside of He-Man. Maybe just a few years outside of He-Man. My parents didn't have cable whenever I grew up, so I wasn't exposed to all that stuff.
No, yeah, me neither. Which was probably better for me. Yeah.
So we could see both sides.
I don't like. I've lived in this house with the family since last October, and I still haven't plugged in the TV antenna to the wall socket. So like the TV is in so that we can play with the PlayStation, but I haven't seen a single TV show since October when we moved here.
What kind of like parental controls do you put on your stuff?
I don't let them online with the PlayStation at all, so they don't play anything like without me sitting next to it. Like if they're playing something online with the PlayStation, and then like with the phone, they have an hour a day after school to play around. Nobody goes to the toilet with the phone. Yeah, we've gone through like all kinds of do's and don'ts about what you can do with your phone and what you're not ever supposed to do with your phone. So I've scared them pretty good.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember coming home from middle school, and AOL, America Online, was the hot thing at the time. And so I'd instant messenger and from the time I got to school all the way until dinner was ready, my mom screaming at me and telling me to turn everything off. It's family time now. Yeah, America Online was something I was doing when I was a little bit older than your kids, I believe.
Yeah, I was like MSN Messenger was my like the thing. Like that was before Facebook and before MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
And right before MySpace, you had the MSN Messenger thing.
Did you ever get into MySpace?
I was there for a while, but it was pretty pointless. I didn't sort of, it didn't. Then I read that it was sold for like billions of dollars or something, and I was like, who who would pay like so much money for this crap? It was like just sparkly shit and music playing when you go to somebody's page. It was weird.
It's because people saw it as a stage to expose themselves on. And because it was socially accepted to do so, then there was tons of money in it. And here we
there
are.
was that tequila chick. What was her name? Tia Tequila or something. She was like the first.
She led the.
She was like
march.
the first internet celebrity that got like money out of endorsement stuff and things like that. I think she was like the one.
I have a girl who lives right over here. At one point, she lived in LA and she was a waitress, and she had this YouTube show with millions of subscribers. And after she first told me about it, she looked me straight in the eyes and she goes, "That was because all these guys wanted to, think about me. Think about me later, and pause it and re-examine my body and pause it again." Yeah, she was fully aware of it.
So what did she do? She had a cooking show. What?
No. What she did was she would dress up and play character of some sort. And so I think it was like a spin-off of all the Comic-Cons sort of stuff.
Okay. So she's probably graduated to OnlyFans already. By the sound of it. She went regular.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Cool. Good for her.
I don't know. I think that LA took its course on her psychology, but she's back here in her hometown, and she's engaged. She has a plan going forward to find herself. So she realizes
sounds wonderful.
She realizes that she can work anywhere in today's world. She can help out people online, and her and her fiance. I live here in the downtown area, right next to a courthouse, and it's walking distance to like 10 restaurants. And so the quality of life is really nice, but she's being bombarded by a rental manager over here at this bungalow she's renting. And so they've attacked her because she's planted a garden in the backyard. And
how dare she?
And it doesn't have like fine trim lines, like identifying where everything is. And so she's dealt with it for like a year and a half or so, and she's tired of it. And so her and her fiance are going to now try to find some woods to go retreat into and rent some property in that fashion and see how they like that sort of life.
That sounds very wholesome.
They might actually be in Asheville, North Carolina right now. I think it's North Carolina that Asheville is in, but Asheville is a place along the Appalachian Mountains. I haven't had the opportunity to go visit, but they're visiting both East Coast and West Coast, trying to figure out what woods they want to just retreat into, because that's where they are in their life. I think she's about 33, 32.
If anybody were to ask me, I would pick the eastern side of any mountain ridge.
Yeah. I totally agree. I love having the morning sun and recognizing that morning sun and the light that comes off of it. And then if it is that the sun has to go beyond the ridge at 5 o'clock, so be it. But I'd rather be on a eastern side of a ridge than a western.
Yeah. But it sounds really nice for her that she's not like, I believe that we as people, we should have, and everybody has something more meaningful to do with their lives than just to be in somebody's wank bank. If you know what I mean. Like she has better things to do with herself. To like feel good about herself in the future. Because like imagine doing something like that for 5 years or 10 years and your kids asking you sometime in the future, like, what did you do when you were in your 20s or 30s? Well, I was a furry and, you know, guys beat off to me and they paid me $10 a month. That sounds like horrible. I would never wish that on anybody. So maybe you should like try to move them towards like getting a little bit of hex and renting a place somewhere, like renting land and working on it. I've heard that it's like quite a thing over there nowadays. Like people are trying to find farmers who are on their way out, but who necessarily don't want to sort of leave the ranch or sell the house or something, but they could easily see themselves like leasing out all the fields around the property, and that might be like a perfect way to get into farming if you want to get into it, like in a little bit of a bigger way.
Yeah, I totally agree, and especially if you have some hex, staked out into the future, then you're not absolutely dependent upon this person gifting you their property as your 401k or your retirement goals, because like I also have heard about this sort of situation, and Paul Wheaton is kind of attacking this situation with his latest book that's Skip.
What's his take on it?
He's done a Kickstarter just recently, and for his latest book, and his latest book is called Skip, and that's supposed to stand for Skills to Inherit Property. And the idea is you go through this curriculum on your own, and you do it on your own time, but you submit your proof of work onto the Permies.com website. And there are people on there who will be your instructor and approve you or tell you to go do more in order to reach that certain curriculum, that check.
Yeah.
But you go through the curriculum and you're rewarded this certain badge. And then once it is that you've gone through all of this, and you have this proof, then you're kind of in line to be introduced to a property owner who, on the other side of this, has a piece of property, is too old to continue to work it, or is about to be too old to continue to work it. Everybody in their family is passing on the opportunity to take it on, and they don't want to just allow it to go to a development or somebody else's idea of what farming should be in the future. So these are the type of farmers who are holistic farmers, sustainable farmers, who lack in their social sphere, they lack a certain person to reward their property to. And so this is the connector, is you're going through the Paul Wheaton setup curriculum through Permies.com. You're putting yourself through it. You're probably gaining thousands and thousands of dollars worth of intellectual know-how. And so this is Paul Wheaton, who runs Wheaton Labs in Montana.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I was so psyched when I heard that you were at his lab. When I did I share a video or something about him, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm over here."
I
And then you
think,
shared the video where he was behind your back, like, hello.
yeah, yeah, he's quite the character. He was like this close to the camera, and I just said
Yeah,
like, will you say hi to this Finnish guy? He's a
yeah,
big fan of yours.
yeah,
Hello.
yeah. He was like ready on the spot. Yeah, he seems like a really uh, fun guy to be around if you don't disagree with him on anything.
Right. He's got his drive, and
Of course, yeah,
he's got his mind is set way, way in the future. And if you want to try to be a part of it, go out to permies.com, look up the boot camp for a very
yeah,
small entry
and
fee. You can be a
even the
part of it.
website is full of like there's so much stuff there. There's like tons of things that you can really get into.
The website is set up in a forum format to where you just contribute, and if it is that you're causing a problem, then they can just delete you. But I've had a I've had a membership on that website since a username since like 2010, I think it was
Mm,
2009. Whenever I was starting to realize that growing food and getting back to the land were things that I was interested in, and that I need to know for like survival's sake,
yeah,
directing my family in the right path. I've told this podcast before that I am the youngest person in my family, and I'm not married. I don't have kids, but in my opinion, I'm making appropriate decisions based on the world around us. And so I'm slowing down the pace of life, and saying, okay, which is the direction that we need to go. And that's what I think a lot of Hexicans need to do, because my goodness, Hex hit 40 cents recently.
oh yeah, that was quite something. That was like an amazing morning to wake up and update my StakerApp. Now that you reminded me, I'm just gonna do it real quick.
You got a new
See
change
how
of
we.
pants.
No, we're doing good. We're fine. We're fine.
Oh my. Yeah, there was somebody sold a little bit, so it went down to 37, but
Yeah, but some
uh
like, oh my God, like 1 inch dot exchange. It's not that difficult to set a limit order. Like
mm,
you don't have to wreck the order book when when you exit. It's like some of these people, and one of the guys who, well, sure, like we're not broadcasting to millions of people. The guy who emergency end staked earlier today or something like 12 hours ago, and dumped on us. He bought wrapped Bitcoin.
ah
That fucker is on fire already. Like immediately started losing money when he exited Hex.
you think
That's
he's
like,
down 6% or so?
yeah, something like that. But he
Plus the
also
expense
like,
of the sale.
yeah, but he took a massive beating on like nuked almost all of his interest. Just got like small crumbles of what was owed. All of his big payday gone, and he still had like 400K or something, which he proceeded to lose in Bitcoin. I don't know what video I just saw on, I think it was on the trading chat, but some guy lit his house on fire because he lost 350 grand. And I was like, I don't know, man. It seems like you're losing more money when you do that. Like I don't see where that sort of plan of action pays off. Like, okay, oh, it's already noonish and I've lost 350K. Why don't I burn my house down? And he was like, oh, like idiots. Oh my God. But isn't it funny? I've been thinking about this for a couple of days already. Like I'm sure you had a plan or like a vision of what kind of your sort of dream farm would be like. Wouldn't it be cool to go? I don't know. As soon as I can be sure that I don't have to take part in any medical experiments, I'm open to. I may have to walk from Mexico, but sure, we'll keep it in. We'll keep it in the books. I'm not saying no for definitely, but if it requires some kind of a DNA altering drug, then I'm not coming. But
So the people
what I was saying.
the people who just have this on voice and aren't watching the screen, I put up rogue herbalists whose ancient earthways on this. I put up his comment about how Finbear here needs to come to the US because maybe we couldn't come to him. I personally, I'd like to see your place. I'd like to see that area of the world.
This is like, this is like you've got the whole of the US over there. When you come over here, we'll make a trip. We can go to, like, we'll drive to Lapland and go around Norway and scoot over through Sweden real quick. It would be nice. We could just stay on the northern side of all of the countries. So there's like hardly any people anywhere.
What sort of
that's like awesome.
So go back to the topic that you wanted to talk on before
So I was talking about like how funny it is that like your dream farm or your sort of dream setup of what it is that you'd like to have and accomplish, how quickly it just grows quite a bit bigger, because all of a sudden your stack is like 4x bigger, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, like the stuff that I was thinking that I could maybe do in like 6 years or 8 years looks like I might be able to do it in a year. And then you're like, well, if I just postpone it like just a bit and like stake some stuff out, I could have like, I could buy all the farms in the country.
So,
and I could go all Bill Gates on everybody.
What we're talking about though is the financial capabilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but we have to have the know-how and even what to look for in order to acquire the things. Like we have to enter the situation, ask an expert, a real expert. What do you recommend? How does this thing work? I have the money to buy it. Set me up in a certain way that I can grow.
Yeah.
Because
and now there's I would imagine there's a lot of us who have the financial means to get their hands on any kind of education that they would ever want or need. So there's not going to be a shortage of experts helping us, I'm sure.
We have another comment here. Does this person meet up in Instagram? Yeah, sometime. Yeah, this person's in Instagram. I'm putting the link to join the live stream in YouTube right now. It's in YouTube comments. This is Hex Foodies on Telegram. We have a group on Telegram chat. Hex Foodies, come join us. And we are Hex Foodies on YouTube and Facebook. This is an anarchy situation. Come
every
serve
man
yourself.
for himself.
Yeah.
Every man for himself. Yeah. Yeah, but hopefully we're gonna have some meetups on this side of the pond as well, because for a lot of us it's a real hassle to get over there to your side.
Okay, so
even if we couldn't like meet face to face at first, at least we could get on the same vibes about the same time, so that we can sort of feel the connection there.
So if you were to come to the States, you think you would go through Mexico City's airport? Like as of right now?
Probably I would have to. I think like if you come from Mexico, you don't have to get vaccinated or anything. I don't know. But that's like that's what I understood from what T Money said. Oh, you're close to me. That's cool, Hex King. Like, are you like? I wonder if it's the same country or like it's a few hours drive, man, to Amsterdam from here, but still close. Like if you compare it, like me and you, still closer within driving distance.
So I was flipping through Twitter just a while ago, and somebody said something about like how McDonald's is taking Bitcoin in El Salvador.
Yeah, they bought what 250 Bitcoin or 400 Bitcoin or something.
They bought 400
Wow.
Bitcoin. The country did, and
Yeah.
then from then on, it's just like, okay, we're gonna do this thing.
Did they leverage long it or something? I hope they leveraged it. Doesn't seem like that much Bitcoin. Like, I'm sorry, El Salvadorians, but you guys gotta get into Hex. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Hex Air thing. Everybody's talking about it. We're talking about it so much. It's going to happen. Like, I hope everybody gets it. It's only it's only first class. The whole plane is just one big first class.
Yeah, because why not? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That'll be lovely.
Yeah, and we can have like when you're midway, we can have like a rave party, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I think I might like to parachute out of. You don't even have to stop the plane. Just go ahead and just allow me to eject.
Just drop me off anywhere.
Yeah. Like, I know that my sister lives around here somewhere. I'll exit
that would
instead
be
of
awesome.
causing y'all another hour worth.
Yeah, nobody wants the hassle. Just that's fine. I'll be downstairs and see you guys next week. You could actually you could buy a ticket, like some kind of a hop-on ticket. Like if you knew that some Hexicans were flying from Paris to New York, you could buy a hop-on ticket where they would promise to fly over Gran Canaria or something, and they drop you off literally. Like, okay, we can see the island. Good luck hitting it, but you could get it like really cheap. Yeah.
Something that I do want to do, and I want to do this as a hobby, probably in the next 2 years, is have those parachutes and that fan connected to your back. So you're.
Oh, you mean the gliding suit with where you look like you're like
no, not like a flying
gliding,
squirrel.
like a flying squirrel.
Not the flying squirrel thing. Instead,
No?
you look like a parachuter, but you've got a huge fan on your back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's like it's not like a parachute. It's like this glider, which is the shape of a parachute, but it's got a little bit more square meters of surface area. Yeah, I actually I see a couple of them flying around over here.
Really?
Yeah, they're not like they're not even like once you're on it and you're up in the air, it doesn't weigh anything on you. The thing that you have on your back, and when you land, I think it weighs less than something like a small lawnmower or something.
That makes sense.
It's not heavy at all. It makes a lot of noise, but it's really cool. Like in the evening time, when it's not too windy and stuff, it looks really cool when they're like making these long ass turns, and you can hear the engine go and it's turning upwind, and it's really cool.
So
but I after having kids, I've turned into a bit of an indoorsy kind of a guy, so I'm not too much into like all these near death experiences that you clearly are still into.
I was figuring you were going to take it there.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in jumping off bridges. I'm not interested in jumping out of planes.
and I don't know.
I
It might
understand.
also be because I'm on the oldest side of like the set of siblings. So there's like the older sister, then there's me, and then younger brothers. So like my youngest brother has done everything. He has a pilot's license and he's done all the bungee shit and all the parachuting stuff and all the like the diving things and stuff like that. But being the oldest son, everything I've ever done, I've been the first one to know how to do it. So I've always had all the compliments for just like knowing how to use a fork. Everybody's like, "Oh, look at him! He can use a fork." And then, like 2 brothers later, the youngest poor bastard, he could be like doing like juggling tricks with mom's steak knives, and nobody cares anymore. So that might be a little bit of a like an influence on because there's like I remember reading that there's studies have been made, and it's clearly you can see that the people who are more into like these very sort of dangerous or perceived as dangerous type of hobbies like bungee jumping or whatever, they're usually the youngest in the set of their siblings, which I think you were as well.
Yeah, I'm the younger sibling, and so my sister, who's older by like 3.5 years, she was a full 4 grades ahead of me. So when I went into high school, she got out of high school. When I went into college, she got out of college. And that amount of separation made it to where we lived a little bit different lives once we got a little bit older.
Yeah.
And my sister, she didn't explain things to me. Instead, she kept her life secret. And I feel like had it been an older brother, I would have had more realizations faster.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. But my dad also worked 7 days a week. I don't blame him. He owned an auto parts business that my grandfather also worked in. So I always knew where he was if I needed anything. But at the same time, we weren't going out and doing hunting trips or fishing trips or canoeing or anything like that. Like I did tell you that my parents raised me on skiing. Like we did have awesome vacations every once in a while. And I'm a hell of a skier. I totally understand what you're talking about by, gravity doing the rest sort of thing. Like the kid understands quickly his weight, gravity, the lack of resistance like on the bottom of your...
and sort of the pitch of the skis and everything.
Yeah.
You pick up on it pretty fast. That's
hey,
true.
Did you ever... I've got a note here that this is so funny. Did you ever see that that YouTube where it was the chain link fat kid that was like, better buy some chain link, and then he was doing dance stuff.
No. Can you share it?
It was right when...
Can you put it up on the...
Yeah.
Can you put it on up on the screen?
It was right when
chain
link fat kid.
That sounds awesome, man.
No, goodness. Because I'm not finding it so fast, then... Well, that's funny. Fat kid tries to fit between wall and chain link fence. No, I'll find it and I'll add it to the Telegram later. Oh, it's hilarious.
Can you share stuff from Telegram?
So what I'm trying to do is...
If I send something on Telegram, can you share it?
Oopsie. I'm going to share a screen. What I'm trying to do is not...
That's a lot of my face on screen now.
Yeah, how about now? It's not so much. Okay, I'm in Telegram. You can see I'm a full supporter of Live. No, exactly.
Let's see.
That's why I was worried about changing screens and stuff, and that's why Richard Perkins' face had been on there.
I'm still sending the video. Yeah.
So how
Yeah,
about
I
that?
get you, man.
How about the Hex road trip? Like they're making it happen. They're
Well,
putting
I
themselves
had
out there,
I
and
had
we
the video of
Hexicans.
the guy emergency and staking.
Oh my!
That's an awesome idea. Yeah.
What was the amount that he was emergency?
What?
What amount? Okay.
I
And so,
staked 150 million hex. But I think it's still loading.
okay.
It's ready in
It's telling me that you're
one.
sending something. So
Yeah. That guy. I'm gonna mute myself for a while.
okay.
Which is this? Are we watching at my screen or your screen?
I don't know what's happening right now. I've got a full screen going on.
I think
Ooh.
this is you. Yeah.
So
You've got it on. You've got it
watching.
on mute.
I was hearing it. Were you not hearing it just now?
No.
Oh,
I think you have to set it from somewhere. There's settings so that it shares the audio. Well, anyways, the guy emergency and stakes 150 million hex.
he said that he had a 200% return on investment.
Yeah, because ETH went up in price, and he 2.5x'd his ETH when he emergency end staked. That was like the only time where you could have done it and lose the maximum. He sold the bottom.
Is he proud of it?
150. Yeah, I think he rolled his profits into one that shall remain anonymous crappy project and proceeded to destroy the rest of his value.
Yeah. So there.
Yeah, but everybody who is in Hex Foodies, you can find the video over there. We don't like to give shout outs to people who create Hex copycats, but this is more of a warning example rather than a shout out.
What do you think about the road trip and the? They're not really. What do you think about the road trip?
They're putting their bodies on the line. That's respectable. Like yeah, my hat's off completely to the guys. Like,
so they've wrapped a car.
It's wonderful. Like, yeah, they've
got the dates set on a schedule, on a poster, and they need us
people are
Hexicans to fill
people
the
are
seats.
people are filling the seats. It's like a win-win-win situation, and they're not making any money off it, which is like even better. So, like, when people come in and listen to what they have to say, they can say that whether you do this or not, it has, or what they would say, whether you do this or not, it's matter me no, because like nobody's paying them to do, like, convince anybody. They're out of their own sort of free will, and they're just doing it as, I would imagine, just because it feels like that's the thing that needs to be done.
Yes.
I would love to be there, like, if I didn't have like the kids and the family situation like this. I'm very happy to live vicariously through the fellas now, because if this was happening like 10 years ago, I could easily imagine myself doing something like that.
I'm thinking about joining them in Florida and then driving back toward Texas and then on to Vegas, because they're stopping in Vegas when our next Vegas meetup is.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. I'm gonna have to put my thinking cap on and see if there's any people I know along the route they're gonna take, and if I could maybe fill a seat or two over there. That would be like a huge bonus.
And just to let other Hexicans know,
Like personally, not for us Hexicans or Hex in general. It doesn't like it's not up to one or two people, but still, it would be really cool to know that I helped onboard somebody like over there. That's cool.
Let's see, Rogue Herbalist. Let's see, HEXrayvision says, "Hey kids." Hey Hexray.
Hey Hexray.
I hope you're okay. I tagged you. I hope you're okay with me tagging you in Twitter about like, hey, we're going live in a few minutes. So I'm using your rapport. Let's see, and then
Hey, we've got all kinds of like chat things going on here. I'm not used to like.
Got some guys in chat.
This is freaking awesome, man. We're gonna have to hire somebody to run the chat.
Oh goodness.
No, actually, we just need to check in on it every now and then. That's probably what it takes.
Yeah, I'm stoked about the road trip, though. I think it's awesome that these guys are getting out in public and they're showing other Hexicans how to do things, and they're also putting Hexicans' feet to the fire, because they're asking us Hexicans to fill the seats. They're asking us Hexicans to reach out to our local plumbers, our local mechanics, like all these people who are normally at their day job and they don't have time to, in the luxury of time, to do all their research. And so like maybe they spend 2 hours a day on YouTube. Maybe they spend only 30 minutes a day on YouTube. What is the chance that they'll actually find our content? And then on top of that, what is the chance that they'll be convinced like, hey, you can make money doing this stuff? And I started thinking a few times to myself, like, should I say making money? But you know, when you stake hex, you earn more hex. That hex has a value. Do with it what you will.
Yeah, we can't pussyfoot around it. Like making money is why I got into Hex, and it's doing its job damn well. So yeah, we don't have to like be shy of or coy about it. Like it's like, yeah, like profits exist. It's a thing. We we like it.
So last time
is something. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One thing that I find sort of interesting with like the permaculture movement, I think it's sort of fixing itself from it, but somehow it felt like if you're into permaculture, you have to take this like vow of poverty that you're not allowed to make money, that you're just gonna have to give away your surplus, like everything that all the cauliflower you can't eat, you're gonna have to give to your neighbors, that it's wrong to make money. And I'm glad to see that type of thinking has sort of subsided a bit and given way to more of a like a clear-headed way of thinking about it, because nobody wants to farm for other people just for the love of the game. Like there's nothing wrong with having somebody chip in to get your like to get your material costs back, and like you've spent a lot of time farming. Like why would you want to do it for free, even though farming is pretty, it's basically it's a scam. You just put the seeds in the ground and they grow for free. So So if that's how you perceive farming, you're not gonna have fun doing it. It's okay to make money while you farm. You can just do it in a well thought out fashion where you leave the earth better than what it was when you found it, and you feed your fellow man. So that's like a win-win type of a situation. But you don't have to do it with holding a beggar's stick or whatever.
So I feel like the YouTubers have gone to like farming can be profitable and look at this profit. So just focus on the profit and it'll lead the rest of the way. But I think that's because we've come out of that's just a time period that we're experiencing, and we're coming out of this thing where like there's planned obsolescence. There's literally different levels of equipment for you to purchase into, and if you don't get the top 2 levels of equipment, then you won't experience farming.
You get to use it for like 200 cycles or something, and it breaks down when you charge it for 201st time, and it goes, oh, okay.
Like what happens when a kid isn't able to sprout a seed? They give up, and so we got to make the seeds that they practice on, like that the teacher in kindergarten gives you a seed and you wrap it in a wet paper towel. We need to make sure that that's 100% successful so that they experience that success and know that there's more beyond that.
When my kids were in kindergarten, I took a small worm compost and I took it to them, and I sort of set it up for them, and I told them what they can feed it and how to take care of it. And it was really the kindergarten teachers were psyched about it. They were like, the kids are really interested in what happens to like half-eaten banana or like a piece of an apple, or everybody's like looking under the it had like this canvas on top to keep it out of the direct light, so that the worms aren't so stressed out and they go up to the surface and eat as much as they can. So everybody was like peeking under the blanket to see when the apples were, or the apple peels were gone, and they were really interested in the worms, and they were looking for like worms. They were looking for the eggs in the worm compost and stuff like that. So that was like a really easy and cheap way to get kids into interested in understanding what's going on, sort of behind the scenes.
We have a wonderful praising comment here.
Wow, thanks, Louis, man. It's good. It's wonderful. It's always good to hear compliments. It feels like my head blows up too big to fit out the door.
Yeah, like I expressed whenever I was in the car with Rogue Herbalist and HEXrayvision, and you were on the voice chat. I expressed that like it's so satisfying to hear other people's thoughts that are in the same area as your thoughts, and to let you know that you're not crazy, but also to kind of like energize and fertilize your own thoughts and your energy and everything. So we love hearing from other people. Hexray, you ready to come on? Shake your head yes, please. Thank you.
Awesome.
Hey kids.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey man.
Oh man, it's been wild a couple weeks here.
What you been up to?
Well, I went out to Unofficial Burning Man this last week.
Yeah.
I've got some interesting pictures of myself handing out hex and pulse chain stickers to the burners. And so I've been trying to just spread the good gospel of hex and tell them about the meetups, like you guys were talking about the road tour going on.
Yeah, the road
Awesome.
tour. They've got so much energy involved in it. I almost feel like I'm letting them down. I know that I need to step up to the plate and do something. They're going to be in Austin February 2nd. That's the town closest to me that they're going to stop in.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got I'm in charge of the Salt Lake meetup, October 16th.
Okay.
So I'm going to be taking the reins on that. We're going to find a venue and have some food, have some music, and of course the workshop. So I've been trying to reach out to as many freedom-loving communities up there as possible. Some of the crypto and investment and voluntarist communities, and getting in charge or getting in contact with people that are in charge of those groups, and trying to bring as many of those freedom-loving people as possible to the Salt Lake workshop, because the thing that people don't understand is if you watch the exponential growth of the price of HEX, the same thing's going to happen with the community. I mean, I learned so much about community at this what we'll call it Renegade, because that's what it was officially called, was Renegade. These were renegades that weren't going to let the Burning Man organization tell them whether or not they could burn, right? So every day the people out there doubled. We showed up on Tuesday, and on Tuesday there were probably a couple thousand people out there just setting up their tents and hanging out, having parties, dancing, and every single day it doubled. So like Saturday night was insane. There were just people, just a sea of people. It was somewhere between 4 and 8 square miles of people. They had I need to put together a video on it. I need to finish our first video of the OSR. But once I get that out, I do have a couple pics and some videos, and I think I'd like to do a video about community that talks about the Burning Man community, because these people are all about freedom too. You know, so a lot of these people I was handing out stickers to, they would reciprocate and give me stickers and tell me what they're into. So there was a good exchange of information. Hopefully it wasn't just me, you know, just throwing up all over them. But yeah, I learned a ton about just how small things can start. You know, like you were saying, that the seed inside of the wet paper towel can become a force if you propagate it correctly, right? Or a large group of plants out of one seed. And so I talked to these guys.
Hey, listen, gentlemen, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hop out because I gotta go and tuck the kids in.
Cool, man.
It's past our bedtime over here, but I'll be listening in to you guys, so you don't have to stop on my account.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, definitely.
You.
We're running
a
little long today, but thank you.
Yeah, we went a bit long, but we started a bit late, so it sort of evens out.
Next Tuesday, I hope you can make it.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. See you guys.
Okay,
see ya.
Yeah, so what were the things that they were passing to you, trying to get you to be interested in?
Well, a lot of them were organizations that had to do with that area where people go to have their festivals. So there were a group of people that would go out and clean up the trash and take care of the area that they call the playa. And so they were saying, hey, you know, this is the kind of stuff we're doing. If you could support us or join us, that would be great, because we're out here year round helping search and rescue, helping pick up litter, so that, you know, all the people surrounding the playa don't try to kick us out or try to kick out the burners. So there's that group. There's other camps. So within the giant party, there's all these camps, right? And so people will pay dues to the camp, whether it's $50 or $100 or thousands of dollars, and it'll all go towards whatever that camp is into. So there was one camp that did nothing but gave away soup the whole time. They had this massive cauldron cooking soup and handing out soup to anyone who showed up with a cup. And then there was there's these dance camps that set up really amazing dance venues in tents and in big structures. And then you got a dude was out there that was throwing a dodgeball tournament. So there's this giant dodgeball tent with these people going at it and throwing dodgeballs, right?
Okay.
So I mean, everyone just brings what they're into and shares it with the community. So it's like this real abundance, fun, loving, open community of people. But back in the day, 15 or 20 years ago, when they started going out there to hang out or party or play, uh, I'm told there was, a couple thousand people starting it, that just started working on it and doing big art shows out there, because Burning Man's all about the art. And so a lot of the art didn't come because they didn't want to show up without the organization, without their blessing, or without the official things. And a lot of people stayed away because of the vid. They were afraid of the vid, and so that's why they canceled the original one. But yeah, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And it's insane because people are out there and they're posting pictures to Instagram, or they're texting their buddy and they're like, hey, this is really cool. So every single day, I mean, it's really not that far, maybe 2 or 3 hours from LA. And so within a couple hours, people are just getting a message on the phone, calling their friends, jumping in the car and joining the party. So like the cars just stream in every single day, and it just gets exponential towards the end.
Wow.
Yeah. So and a lot of this has to do with, say hi. You're on stream. You're on this camera right here.
Oh.
So anyways, no, the community is growing. So like I'm saying, with these meetups, with the Hex meetups, so this tour going on right now, you've got every year I expect these to get bigger and bigger. So even if I get 30 people hanging out in Salt Lake City, next year it could be 50. The next year it could be 100. The next year it could be 1,000 and 2,000. So these regional and local Hex meetups can grow exponentially, just like all these other events that we've seen take off. And the price obviously helps with that as well.
So maybe you can help me. Do you need to answer a question with her?
Hang on.
Yeah. All right, guys. I want to post a random question, I think.
And we're back.
Okay, cool. So maybe you can help me out. All right.
Yeah.
I've already said during this stream that I'm the baby in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were both accountants at one point. And so I have a mathematical mind, and maybe that's why I navigated the way that I did through Hex, and am sitting pretty right now. But my mother, it was her birthday the last time we had a live stream, and we went out to eat that evening, and across from me was one of my mentors through life. He's kind of a second father to me. He's always been promoting my art skills and stuff. And so I love having this guy in my life, and he's one of my best friend's father. And I started to talk about how we did a live stream earlier that day, me and my crypto buddies. And my mom is in a conversation with his wife right across the table. And my mom starts shaking her head as I'm arriving on the topic of cryptocurrencies right next to her. And her shake of the head has nothing to do with her conversation. It has everything to do with my conversation. And my mom's like this. My mom's a Virgo. So like she's a bulldog whenever it gets around like the family, and
yeah.
So she's the guardian, worrywart, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't know how to go about spreading the good word of Hex amongst my friends and family. And instead, it's almost like the people that I connect with on freedom levels, those sorts of groups, are the people that I can get the ear of and have the freedom to tell them about that without my parents being involved in the judgment of that. Because the TV's been telling my father for a long time that Bitcoin's a scam. Mm-hmm. However, Bitcoin's running its own course, and people haven't been able to lasso this idea yet. So it's it's a great learning tool of telling people, like, hey, does this not make sense to you? Yeah, exactly. So go look into it because it doesn't make sense to you. What do you think about my story there?
The only way that I've gotten through to any of my friends and family, I mean, there were a couple of friends and family members that were into crypto. And so the people that were into crypto that I got into crypto, where they knew that I kind of knew what I was talking about when it came to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'd already lost enough money for the both of us, right? So they learned from all my mistakes, and I'd gained enough credibility with my friends, family, and crypto that they followed me into Hex. But the people that hadn't already been into crypto, that were just looking at me, the only way I was able to get them into Hex was to just give them Hex.
Yeah.
So like a year or so ago, when the fees didn't suck, you know what? I sent them all. I started with $50 in Cash App, and I was able to go with $50 in Cash App, walking them through buying the Bitcoin, going, exchanging it, moving it to the MetaMask wallet, exchanging it through Uniswap into Hex, and staking it. And they had like $5 left over out of that 50 in Ethereum. So they still had Ethereum left. They had their stakes. And with every one of them, I back then I punted them all past big payday, I'm sure. But I wish I would have set them all up for Cuatro Cinco, right?
Right.
Because they watched it, then they got the Uni airdrop, then they got this and that, and they call me all the time, and they're like, "This isn't real. This is like a bug." And I'm like, "No, that's what that $50 turned into."
Mm-hmm.
Like straight up, like right now, all of them could buy a nice car with that $50, and in the future, all of them will be able to buy a nice house. But they were never going to listen to me, and luckily, I had enough credibility for them to sit with me for an hour to 3 hours over the phone and walk them through that whole process. So the people close to you, it's better off just showing them, because they're not going to listen to you unless they're either going to listen to you or they're not, right?
Yeah.
And then people outside of your circle of familiarity, those people, that's a great time to like say, check this out, check this guy out. So I turn them on to like Richard Hart or Hexologist, or or I'll just let them know, hey, I don't got to work anymore. That's it. I'm good financially for the rest of my life, and that's enough to get their interest. And still, 99% of those people will watch the first few videos on YouTube where people are calling it a scam, and they'll drop it, or they'll get started setting up a MetaMask wallet and then just never follow through, or setting up a Coinbase account and never follow through. So 99% of the people I talk to that are interested in money or freedom, they still don't take the actions. And I've learned that that's probably more because of human behavior than because of Hex. Because Hex hasn't dropped the ball once. It's been absolutely amazing as far as a financial tool of freedom.
Yeah, Hex is set in stone, and it's just whether you are a learner, a self-learner or not. Whether you have the drive, whether you've been through enough scenarios to think of this one as not that big of a deal. Just it's another thing that you're trying. Oh, and it actually works. There are 2 females out on Paul Wheaton's land right now who have been gifted Hex by me, and they have not staked their Hex yet. And it's kind of annoying, but it's kind of like, you'll see in the future. You should have gotten some of those shares.
Right. Yeah, I went down to Mexico earlier, and I made a bunch of really fast friends in Mexico earlier this year, and I set them up with the same thing. My brothers and sisters, I set them all up with a $50 wallet, but with them, I set it up with I think at that point I was smart enough to set them up with a 10-year stake to max out the longer pays better bonus. And I every time I talk to them, I impress the importance of the 12 words. But every time I talk to them, they're like, "This is insane. How do I put more into it? How do I keep going?" And I try to point them towards exchanges, but the fees are just crushing us. I've got like 5 or 6 people that are set up with bank accounts and exchange accounts, and they have the money ready to go, and I can't stomach the Ethereum fees. I can't tell them in good conscience to blow $200 or $300 in fees when hopefully the fees can come down to 20 or 30 bucks a transaction, you know, because I'm like, that's so much hex that you're missing out on, and hex is what we want. So, but at the same time, I want to get them in before pulse chain so they can get the airdrop. So I've just been like waiting with like, you know, looking at the gas price, hoping it comes down before and gives us a window of opportunity to get all these people in. Because if you think what the hex price is doing right now is phenomenal, it would be doing twice that if the fees didn't suck. Twice that. How many people do you know with $50 to $1,000 that are willing to give hex a chance based on what it's done so far, and the fees keep those guys out? I mean, unless you're swinging in $3 to $5 grand, those fees, they clobber you right over the head. They suck.
So right now, my issue is people telling me that they've got stakes that are due and they're not sure what to do with that. That's been my problem right now, because just who I am with my connections right now. I don't have anybody who's ready to buy. Instead, I'm facing that other thing where these were the people that I convinced back when fees were much lower. But those people, I say, to wait out the time period, see if the fees are going to go down here soon. We'll have pulse chain release. You'll have a duplicate. Maybe you'll have 25% less of on these particular stakes. Maybe you'll be docked 25% by the time that comes around. But you'll still have the price appreciation for whatever, because like this could be helping price, right? Like people staying in hex because of like Uniswap fees or something like that. Finbear mentioned 1 inch earlier. I'm not a part of 1 inch, so I don't know what the fees are there to get in and out. Let's see. You talked about that stuff. I got some random questions that I wrote down. Would you mind would you mind if I pose a random question on you?
Sure.
Okay. Can charisma form when wealth is found?
Can charisma form when wealth is found?
Yes. Can someone like formulate who they are after they find wealth?
Yes. I believe so. Because I mean, think about how stress affects the mind and the body and the soul. If you're stressed out, if you're spending a portion of your time and energy and worry on money, and that's taken away, then now you've got all that time and energy freed up to either do something that helps you be a better you, or maybe a worse you. Maybe you just sleep 20% more now that you're rich. I don't know. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, depending on who you are. But I definitely think that freedom spreads like cancer, like a good cancer, right? Once you get political freedom in one area of your life, then you're looking for financial freedom. You're looking for emotional freedom, and vice versa. So anytime that you experience something good in your life, it spreads to all the other topics. And so I believe you'd be definitely much more charismatic. If you choose. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I believe that it could be a catalyst towards expressing yourself more. I mean, think about the personality that you put on at most people when they go to work. They change their personality to fit what their boss expects, what their coworkers expect, what the customers will tolerate, right? And so if you can express yourself just a little more, then I think you become more genuine, and I think that becomes more attractive to other people. I mean, you see, like everyone says that these rich people are, what's the word? Not extravagant. Not flamboyant. It's a name just like that. It's a word just like that. Eccentric. Everyone says, you get rich, you get eccentric. Maybe. Or maybe that's who that person was all along, and they didn't have the freedom to express it because of obligations, or maybe that's just them expressing themselves or having fun. Maybe that's an exaggerated version of their personality that you're seeing because they can't, right? I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Is freedom spreads and freedom helps you become more authentic, in my opinion.
So Rogue Herbalist is here in the YouTube comments, and he posted a comment earlier that relates to this subject about having more money through Hex allows you more time to make decisions. I totally agree. I basically like quit one life in order to concentrate on creating another life, and Hex has just made a world of difference. If anybody wants to become a part of this conversation, we're Hex foodies in the meetup chat. You've got a lot of background noise over there.
I do.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can turn it and help this way. Is that any better?
That's good. And then also you don't have to lean into the mic.
Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to point the mic away from the noise.
Okay.
And because I'm trying to look into the camera that's not even one of my regular cameras.
Yeah, I've got
trying to talk.
I've got my camera like pointed sideways over here so that you don't see everything behind me. Instead, you see other things.
Right. I had to take off my glasses earlier, make sure you guys couldn't see a reflection of my seed words anywhere around here.
So the other day,
more random questions, or go ahead.
No, I'll just leave it at one random per stream, and
Okay.
then I think we're good on the show and tell. Finbear talked about a small curved knife that he uses for whittling and things like that. I meant to ask him what exact type of wood that he uses. That'd be nice to know. I guess I always break my own rules. Let's see. The other day I was out camping. Our very own Togo. I think he goes by Togo. He's Togosh in our chat room. He went out camping with me a while back, and he ran out of cell phone battery while we were out and about. And so I was like, oh, well, I got a charger in my car. So whenever we head to breakfast, you can have my my cell phone like extra battery pack to charge your phone while I charge my own phone in my own car. And so I told him that this thing's only $35 and it's a great investment. So here's just a $35 battery pack for your cell phone. I got mine at Target, and it will charge my cell phone 4 times over. And it was a lifesaver when I was in the tent on the side of Paul Wheaton's property. Absolute lifesaver. So I charge it during the day, and then in the evenings I would go by the library, pick up that charged thing, go to my tent, and then I could watch as much Pulse Chain about to launch content as I thought was needed before I went to bed, because at that time Pulse Chain was still live. And by the way, do not fall for the fake Richard Hart live streams that are asking you to participate in some way, and don't fall for the idea that Pulse Chain Sacrifice is still alive, because it is not. We are waiting for Pulse Chain just like we were waiting for Hex, because we're Hexicans OGs.
Right, and that really goes for everyone. No one in the community that is a benevolent person, including Richard Hart, is ever going to ask you for your personal information, for your seed phrase, for you to click a weird link. If anyone asks you for anything like that, they're obviously not Richard Hart, and they're obviously not a good-hearted Hexican. So those are good rules to remember.
Lewis gave us this shout out earlier, and then Rogue Herbalist call him out as the myth, the man, the legend.
Yes. Lewis is the guy that put together my Tower of Beauty that I have over there on my computer. He built my computer for me with
Oh,
all of the LEDs and the hex symbol inside of it.
okay.
And he actually helped me program the lights inside to change through the pulse gradients
Okay.
of colors. So it's all pulse colors going through, cycling through over there.
And
So I used to have that in one of my shots. Let me see if I want to see if I can get it here. So there's the tower.
I'm so
It looks
jealous
even
of that.
cooler when it's dark in here, but
Yeah,
as you
it
can see,
does.
it's quite the light show. I'm a big fan of Lewis and his builds.
Well, I didn't even know it. I'm a fan of his too. Because
Yeah.
I was over there, and every once in a while I'd look over that thing, and I'm like, I'm so jealous of that. Like, I asked HEXrayvision, like, hey man, send me the links to all the equipment that you have so that I can set up my own live stream situation over here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't wait till I get to the point of having a separate computer for the live streams, having a glow to it that's in theme with Hex and everything. Like I'm gonna go all out here soon. Everything I do, I just sort of like just pace along, making sure that every move is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've got a funny story. Some Facebook user down here says, "What's up? What's going on? We're running like 40 minutes into the next hour. I'm surprised that we're running this long, but I love it."
I totally forgot it was Tuesday, and
Oh,
I
yeah?
would have been on 20 minutes earlier, but this is a good problem to have. So Julio and Rob from Wildcard Studios down in
Okay.
Vegas, they do Freedom TV with all the updates on the road trip and stuff. They actually came to my house.
They're the
set up-
techies behind the scene?
Yeah, they're the techies
Okay.
behind the scene. They're on
Cool.
you'll see them on screen too sometimes with the interviews, but they're super, super cool guys. They came up here with T-Money
Okay.
and Barry. Shout out to Barry Raymaker for real. They came up and just hung out with me for like weekends.
Oh, cool.
And they came up, and I actually ordered an entire new set of equipment since I sent that link to you, because that link to you is really good for a one-person studio. But I really wanted a studio because, like, when the three of us were in here and we spent 45 minutes just doing technical issues, I was like, I want the ability for three people to sit in here with headphones and their own mic and communicate with each other, and of course communicate with guests. So they set that up for me, just baller. Like, it's amazing the studio I got in here now. Yeah, there's the Blue Yetis right there.
I have 2 more mics ready for people, and then I've got this one set up here.
Yes, yeah. It just, the way you put those all together. I had to go old school with I think it's called KSL mics. You know, the old mic pops or the old mic cords, and the old headphones and the old sound mixer to get everyone to hear everything the same.
Okay.
So I actually gifted one of my Yetis to a fellow Hexican, the one that needed some setup going on. And so you'll probably be seeing that on stream somewhere. But the Yetis, like, this is insanely good, the sound quality here. And then I just have this hooked into the bottom of the Yeti.
Me too.
The headset. Because I tried to unplug the studio that they set up so I could join the stream, because I can run a stream, but I can't join a stream yet. I mean, I'm sure I can, I just don't know how. So otherwise it would have been on a lot earlier, but I wanted to give out a shout out to those guys so when you see an actual stream that originates from my channel, you'll see their handiwork. You'll be impressed. Yeah. So that's going on. Like I said, it's all about community. Everything comes down to community. That's it. Look at what Doge did with some of the worst code on God's earth. And they just had parties and had fun and created this fun community around the coin.
Yeah.
And look what it did. There's no reason on earth it should have been worth anything, but it all came from the community, right?
And you didn't even have to operate with it one-to-one. You could just own it on Robinhood and feel a part of the crew.
Right. Yeah, and so with the Hexicans community is more valuable than the code, in my opinion, and it's more valuable than the game theory, which are both extremely valuable. But without the community out there proselytizing and evangelizing and baptizing all of these people into the gospel of Hex, you don't get it. And that's really what's kept us doing so well, I think, with these fees, with the Ethereum fees, is the community is like onboarding whoever it takes, however they can, and getting the attention of some whales apparently that are dumping in some big money right now. But like I said, imagine if the little guy was getting in right now. That we'd already be at 50 cents if little guys were jumping in right now. So little guys aren't going to sell.
Yeah.
If you've put in $500 and it goes to 1,000, you're looking for another $500 to put in, because nothing in your life is probably paid out that well. And so I'm not worried at all about the little guys dumping at all. They're going to be the new holders, you know, in my opinion.
So Rogue Herbalist corrected me for saying something about, like, you know, the Hexicans, who are the OGs, who don't have to worry about working and could cash out some of their hex. He made the point of how Richard Hart specifically said in a live stream recently, you know, the smarter move would not be like somebody, I remember this, somebody commented and they said something about how I just quit my job. Thank you so much, Richard. I just retired. And then Richard was like, he read that comment and then he said, I think the better thing for you to do is to get another job, you know, one that you like, that pays you well for your time, and keep investing in Hex. Keep your Hex. Don't sell your Hex in order to live your lifestyle.
Yeah, and obviously it depends on the person. That depends on the job, right? Because I mean, personally speaking, most of my jobs were truck driving, and I was out of town the majority of the time, away from the home and the family. So this has actually Hex has given me the opportunity to switch gears, to switch jobs or callings or vocations that would have been pretty impossible to do, going from truck driver to just jumping into something new and learning it. So I agree with that to a point, but I've worked a lot of really bad jobs that maybe get another job, maybe get a better job, maybe go back and get some training in something that you're much more interested in and passionate about.
Or come down the route of what Hex Foodies is allowing you to do. Right here, you've got the connection of so many people who have connections to back to the land exercises that you can do. You can go and you can change your life path as much as you want. You can do it as little as you want. You could go down the street and tell somebody that, hey, I'd like to make you something. It's my first time, so I'll charge you just a little bit. And then I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying right now. Or you could find an expert in your area and become their apprentice. Or you could completely transplant yourself into another environment. And do what they tell you to, and you would learn so many perspectives on the same old you, the same old life you. Nothing's going to change unless you allow it to change. You need to break into your own bank, figure out what makes you tick. That's why what Hexray drag, or not Hexray drag, sorry dude. Hex Dragon 5555, he talks about, he's got workshops for you to join in Austin, and one of them just a few weeks ago was about Tantra, and that has to do with controlling your sexual emotion and becoming much more aware of what it is that you want in your life so that you can, I guess, get over that hump, or you know, be more aware of the system, be more aware of this body, this ancient alien that you have somewhat control over. I'd like to tell a story. It's a pretty awesome story. I hadn't yet gotten this hat, and I arrive in Las Vegas for the first time, and I check into my room, and then I'm like, hey, where are all the other Hexicans? So I'm looking on the Telegram chat. Where are you Hexicans? Where are y'all at? Is anybody else staying in the Aria Hotel? Was where I was at. Thank you so much, everybody who had everything involved with getting us into these awesome hotels for a discounted price. So one of the guys, Casey, who's a longtime Hexican, he said he's down in the lobby of the Aria Hotel. Come down there. He's got a bag of these hats that he's handing out. And I think Crypto Coffee was down there with him. And I really wanted to meet Crypto Coffee. And there were 2 other Hexicans with him, I think, including maybe Togo, who's a part of our group here. And so I was really interested in like meeting another Hexican. I never had said in public Hexican. I never had said that word. So it was kind of like virgin off my tongue the first time I said it. So I go down in the lobby and I'm looking around for somebody who's like on his cell phone and needs peeling off of it, because for some reason that's what I did every time in Vegas. I saw somebody on their cell phone and just thought that they had to be into cryptocurrency because they were on their cell phone. So I'm in the lobby and I walk up to this guy who looks kind of like he's hip, but maybe from like California or something. And so loose wearing clothing, maybe he's got like sandals on or something. And I walk up to him and I say, hey, are you a Hexican? And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, I'm here because of Hex, the crypto. Are you a Hexican? I'm into cryptocurrency and I'm meeting a bunch of guys here about cryptocurrency. And
That sounds like code.
Yeah. So this, I mean, he's right in the middle of the lobby, progressing from one place to another, and he looks like he's stagnant. He's looking for other people of like mind, but really, what he was doing was he was communicating on social media to all these people on social media who follow him, because he has like this great following. I guess it's his lifestyle that they're all tuned into. But this guy, his first name is David. I forgot his last name, and I wouldn't want to remember his last name anyway, to bring him out on this. But I told him, like, he was like, I own Doge, I own cryptocurrencies, like I'm fully aware of cryptocurrencies and where they could go.
He's woke, bro.
And
He's woke.
Yeah. And I'm totally going to check out Hex. Like, let's be Instagram buddies right now, so that I can go and look into what you're doing, or what you're talking about. Because, like, obviously, if people are congregating to one place, then there's got to be something about it. Because he was kind of taking it as a convention situation, even though we had the convention 3 months before that was all online based because of COVID going on. So that guy, I gave him all the resources. I was like, it is Richard Hart's time to shine. He's an entrepreneur, and he's in the space of cryptocurrency, and his first project, his first baby, is already launched, and he's launching another baby here soon. But you should really pay attention, because time is of the essence. So these are how my stories are. So sorry. So I give him all the resources in order to climb up the hole and everything. And that guy messaged me on Twitter just yesterday saying that, asking, hey, what's up, bro? What's good? Like, he's catching up with everything. And he says, is it too late to buy Hex? I missed out. I've been watching the price. I'm sure you've been watching the price. Is it too late to get into Hex? And you know what I told him, right?
Anything under $1 is golden.
Stake 5555, and you'll learn in time. Just like I don't know how to get this point across to people, like how to start doing Hex and how to really like instantly believe in it. And so the instant belief thing is hey dude, just throw your money out there and then start to learn about the community, start to learn about what you just did, start to learn about shares. And by the way, anybody who's listening to this who doesn't already understand, T means T means trillion. Do not get confused with the M shares, the B shares, the T shares. Million, billion, trillion. You are so freaking early to Hex. We're talking about things in T shares, trillions of shares.
Right. Well, and I mean, how many people actually have what's up, Mother Flower? Thanks, Leroy. And shout out to Finbear earlier. He said, I don't ever want to sell my Hex. That's why I bought Pulse. And I think, oh, there it is. Yeah. I think there's a lot to that. Is like the game in Hex is to never sell your Hex, right? Like I tried to keep some of my Hex liquid, and it's such a tiny, it started out as keeping 10% liquid, but now only 1% is liquid because of the compound interest, right? So most people that I've met are not into delayed gratification. I sure wasn't into delayed gratification when I got into this crypto journey or Bitcoin or even Hex. To be honest, I was just obsessed with financial freedom. And so when they told me, you max out your longer pays better at 10 years or 3641 or 3461. Anyways, that's your max out of the longer pays better bonus where you get triple the T-shares. So I finally started doing that just to win the game theory, right? But yeah, no one I know. So what I do is I take an amount of money that seems insignificant to the person. So for a lot of people, that's $10 or $50. For some people, it's $100. Some people, it's $1,000. Like they're not that worried about $1,000 because of where they're at in their life. And I have them stake that for 15 years. And then we mess around with I'll keep some of theirs liquid in case they have an emergency or in case they want to, spoil themselves. If Hex goes crazy, it kills the desire or the temptation to early end stake. And so, yeah, then we'll build it out. But as things progress, myself included, you watch those 5555 shares and you watch them just go insane with interest.
Yeah.
And every single day, I wish I had more liquid Hex and more Quattro Cinco.
Yep. Everything
in the middle is just, it's amazing. It's going up in value. It's paying me interest. But I'm like, why isn't everything? And I think everyone gets that point is you start looking at everything's just Quattro Cinco. Everything's 5555 because it breaks the money machine. It just, you can't beat it. It blows your mind when you see the interest coming off the 5555 stakes because it's close to 60%, I believe.
So what is your
right now?
How often do you feel what is the scenario where you feel like, oh shit, I need more shares? Because I had that last week for a few days. I need to check the amount of shares I have. I need to make sure I know the shares right down to the cent.
Do you know what makes me need more shares? It's the stupid leagues on StakerApp.
Really?
I go on StakerApp and I see my standing go up or down.
Okay.
And I get furious.
And you see somebody jumped above you and you're just like, oh.
It's like a kid when you go to the arcade and someone beats your high score on a game.
Yeah.
It pisses you off. It really brings out this primal competitiveness. And so there was a point where I had dropped five spots in my league when I was still driving truck. And I took a stupid amount of liquid Hex and I did a Quattro Cinco
Yeah.
just because just to jump back up in rank. And that liquid hex was actually 6 months of retirement. So
Did
like
it?
I sentenced myself to work 6 months longer
Ooh.
just for those, and I didn't even go. I went up like 4 spots or something. Like it was,
Yeah.
I was like, this'll do. Oh no, it didn't do shit.
Ooh.
So basically, I did that, and I was like, oh, these guys are serious. These guys
aren't playing.
They're playing. Like, so ever since then, I look forward to like my stakes coming out, because my wife, she's like, okay, when this stake comes out, we're gonna pay off the house and do this and this and this. And I'm like, actually, honey, I was just planning on not, like, I was gonna just restake it all for 5555 because of that. Like, daddy wants to be a shark when he grows up. That's what I tell people all the time, and they say, that's stupid, Max. And I'm like, to you it is, but to me, daddy wants to be a shark. Like, that's all I want in life, is to be a super shark. I think I would die happy if I was a super shark. But that is a lot of t-shirts from where I'm at. And t-shirts are stupid expensive right now. Like a t-shirt is like $2,000 if you stake for 10 years or longer, right? You're getting 3 t-shirts for $6,000.
Okay.
If you use the longer pays better bonus. So right now, if you buy a short-term t-shirt, it's about $6,000 a t-shirt, right?
All right. This is where I start FOMOing.
So basically, you're getting a 3 for the price of 1 if you use the longer pays better bonus. So if I were to pay $6,000 and get a t-shirt, if I were to max that out at least 10 years, but you might as well go 15. Now you're getting 3 t-shirts for $6,000 instead of 1. So yeah, that's the whole point of like what Jiminy Christmas, the guy that was just on here. I'm looking at Michael. Yeah, Finbear.
Yeah.
I'm seeing his face right now on the screen. Finbear is like, I think the same thing. I'm like, if I can make enough money in Pulse to live the rest, our interest is not away from anyone's bag, which is a wonderful thing to me. Yeah. I think what he's saying is that you get interest on your own stuff. See, I went up a few spots of leagues. Funny how good it felt. It does. It doesn't affect your life. It just affects your self-esteem going up in the ranks. At least with me, it does. I'm like, oh yeah, the higher in ranks, the better I feel. But I don't know what I was saying. I hope that I can live on Pulse and roll all of my Hex Cuatro Cinco for the rest of my life. That would be my dream.
So do you think that the people who are dolphins and sharks right now, is there anything above shark?
Yeah, there's shark, whale, and Poseidon. And
whale and Poseidon, yeah.
There's not an official Poseidon right now, but a lot of the whales look like they could be from the OA. You know, they could be OA whales. So if you stacked all the OA whales together based on behavior, you would have a Poseidon right now. But, you know, I think that they're splitting it up to like,
how many whales are there?
I think there's like 13 or 14 whales. I think there's around 109 super sharks. And then last I checked, there were around 1,000 dolphins, maybe.
All right. So if it says that I'm not going to dox myself. If it says that I'm dolphin 300.
Yeah.
Does that mean that I am hex staker number 433 sort of?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not true, because some of those, like I said, some of the whales are the same organization or same person.
Right.
And some of the sharks are the same people too, that are just split up, and they're smart enough to put it in more accounts.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm sorry, more addresses, not accounts, addresses.
Right. So
if you think you're 400, you very well could be 300 or 200 or whatever, depending on how split up the big boys are.
Oh, right. Because it would be some people who have large amounts are in multiple addresses. So that multiple addresses would count as one, to where you're actually closer to the top. in the hierarchy of like who's got stakes in Hex.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're even a tinkering turtle right now, like in the future, people are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, you're a tinkering turtle." That'll blow their mind because of the money it will take to become a tinkering turtle in the future will just be more than most people can manage in a lifetime, let alone, have liquid sitting around ready to put it in the old cryptoverse.
I don't think that I've looked at my staking account on StakerApp since I was in your area.
Really?
Like, yeah, since like right after Montana. So that was early August. I haven't looked at because it would just blow my mind. It would just freak me out. Like, yeah.
I never stopped looking at my StakerApp. In fact, so we're on our way up to Renegade, and we went through Salt Lake because I'd never been to a festival, so I didn't have any costumes or anything. I just have sad dad clothes, as my 16-year-old calls it. Just my sad dad wardrobe.
Your female 16-year-old.
My female 16-year-old, yes.
Yeah.
She
this is a female mind that says this.
She keeps me humble. And so we go up there to these costume shops and like places that have glow in the dark stuff, shiny stuff, feathers, just outrageous outfits. And we're walking around the store, and that was like the first big bump before this last run.
Okay.
So I get this big bump, and
like to 30.
Yeah, it was
from 25 to 30.
I think it was 28. Like it bumped to 28 or something like that. And like my son looks over at me, and like I've got tears in my eyes because like I crossed this threshold.
Ooh, yeah.
On StakerApp.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, all I did was say StakerApp, and he pulled out his StakerApp, and he's like, "Whoa, okay, I get it. Those are happy tears. We're good."
Yeah.
So like, so that happened there, and then we went out to the desert, and there's no data out there, only text, like a little bit of text. I would get Telegram messages in, but I couldn't send them out, and same with Twitter. So I'm like getting all this stuff. So I actually had my brother text me the price of Hex 3 or 4 times a day. I'm like, "Look, whenever you check it, just text it to me."
Yeah.
And I was like, he sent to me, and I thought he was trolling me. I'm like, "No, seriously, what's really the price of Hex?" He's like, "No, this is the price of Hex."
It reached 40 cents.
And I was like, so I'm doing the math myself, like manually, because my StakerApp won't update most of the time. And I'm like, this is bizarre. This is unreal. So it goes from like being emotional and meaningful to just absurd, to just stupid.
Because we've been watching our values so much that we understand that, within ratio, if it went up, to 40 cents from 32 cents or something like that, then we understand that our amount of future payout has gone up so much. Yeah. I in the last week, I have done a little bit of reflecting of just like, okay, now I reached a goal of holy crap, I really need to figure out what to do. Because before it was okay, the certain level, I can allow, like Rogue Herbalist was saying, I can allow a lot of worries to go down, and like you were saying, I can use Hex to lubricate my normal life and stay in the flow, or like keep searching out what it is that I want to do with myself. This last amount of a pump has definitely been along the lines of my sister needs to know about this because our whole family, everybody who's genetically related to me, their life is going to change.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that I've been doing is every time we get an all-time high, I'll retrace the high down 70%, because Hex regularly goes down 70%. And so I like to just to get my feet back on the ground, I'll take 70% off, and I'll look at the price, and I'll be like, that's still damn good. Like, that's still stupid good at 70%, 80% drops. And so that's what I like to do is every time we make a higher high, I look at that and I say, okay, great. Let's maybe get some powder together in case we do go down to that. Cause that is definitely like, here's all the buy zones on the way back down, you know? And
That's some
so
technical thinking right there.
that's the way I look. I just look at it as rungs on a ladder,
Mhm.
you know, and I look at that range, but I don't know, like say we're so pre-viral. We're so in the, like people say we're on the ground floor or we're in the basement. We're in we're like in a where they used to keep the nuclear bombs. You know those silos that go underground like 300 feet or 300 stories down in the ground where they hide the nuclear missiles. That's where we're at. We're like down, like we can feel the heat of the core of the earth between like underneath our feet. That's how tiny and how small Hex is right now compared to when people realize what it does and how amazing it works. So by the time we get to the ground level, that's why I say like the ground level is $1, maybe $10.
So
And then mainstream is somewhere between 10 and 100, I think, per hex. Which, like I said, if you look at even you look at the cool crabs right now, they're like shaking their heads. They're like, that's insane. $100 hex, because they've got a pile of hex.
mhm.
And then you do the interest on top of that, and it's enough for almost anyone to pay their bills, you know?
Yeah. So have you done any thought about like I've been trying to pitch this idea to people. Like I think that there's a certain there's a place that could be made for HEXcopy. And what I mean by HEXcopy, that's pieces of writings where people can copy and paste them in places or use them on billboards or flyers or business cards or even letters that are sent out to the homes, or like given out to organizations like freedom organizations, like you were talking about, getting a hold of people who have like-minded freedom values, and then you tell them about how, you know, not only can they continue their values, but they can do it in this new way in cryptocurrency. I've been reaching out through Telegram to some local groups in my area in Central Texas that are freedom groups. I'm going to strategically go about introducing cryptocurrency in a new way, because like right now, a few of them might have Bitcoin, but they hold their tongue instead of telling everyone else, because everybody thinks that you know, this is the way that we're going to be documented, that we're going to be limited down to just a digital number, and our bank account is going to be able to be turned on and off at will of the governance, your local governance. So I just splayed everything as far as topics there. Sorry about that. But I think
you were thinking about a place with copy. That's where we started, I believe.
I think that we can have a one-stop shop for copy, and like you're
That's a sweet looking sticker.
these stickers that you made and sent out are an example of that sort of thing. But this comes in the physical format. Maybe this file could be shared on the website that I'm just dreaming up. But if somebody wants to, like, you know, make a business card and they don't have the skills of doing the graphics, and they don't want to talk to anybody about not having the skills for that sort of thing, and instead they just want to peruse through stuff, like my recent idea, I posted to the chat that was either the Hex meetup chat or the road trip USA road trip chat about I posted it like, hey, there could be this place, but also this place could already exist by just clicking the tab of like the files that are shared in the Telegram group, because there you'll have all of these memes that are already set out. The text is already on top of there, but what ones are actually professional enough to print out on your home computer and go out on the courthouse lawn in your local area and hand out these flyers, entertain people with this sort of thing. People are constantly looking for entertainment. Like me and my girlfriend, we're going out to eat more often lately, and you know, I'll just pay just to be entertained. And so I start to realize how people think these days. They just want to go to a place where everything's at their fingertips and have a good time with the people that they came with.
Right. And people want to listen to a story. People,
yeah.
If you try to present information to people, their brain rejects it like oil and water. If you try to like lecture them or you know, whatever, teach them something that's just straight facts. The human brain loves narrative, loves story. That's why we have, you know, things like religion and government and money. It's because each one of these things has a story to it. And so I forget the name of the guy, Yuval Harari. I'm sure that's not how it's said, but he's the one that did the book Homo Sapiens. And his whole idea is that the difference between human beings and other animals is human beings can lie and tell stories and organize together. And that's like the main difference between us and a lot of animals on Earth. And so if you want to get a bunch of people behind something like the community, then the community needs a story, right? And so, or a narrative or a meme or an idea, something that connects all those human beings together. So if you can have a story and lay it out for people that gets their attention, then you can start leading them down actions and, you know, finding out actual, like researching information questions that they have. Shout out real quick to Rogue Herbalist.
Yeah.
He hooked me up with a Poseidon t-shirt.
Oh,
That's absolutely sick. It's got, you know, the Poseidon with the big old trident.
okay.
And then it's got a mix of the Hex and the Pulse logo on it.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing.
Where do you think he got it?
I think he either got that from Etsy, Redbubble, or from one of the links on Twitter. He told me, and I totally spaced it. So I just wanted to say that really quick. And then another thing is I talked to a bunch of marketing people out there at Renegade. So a lot of these people are like big ad executives or professionals of different companies. And they were saying, I asked them, how do we get the females into Hex? Because females are, they're all about security, and they're all about, they usually have a much higher social intelligence than we do. And so like when women network, it's crazy. This guy told a story about, he goes, the way to get females into Hex is to have a female get them into Hex. So we need to promote and find the females in our community and support them, because women will listen to them, but they're not going to listen to you and me.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to relate to us, and they're sure as heck not going to trust us. But he told me a story about a company that would sell feminine hygiene products and bras and things like this. And they were spending a ton of money on advertising and budgets. And every year the sales went down. And one day they hired a female manager or ad executive, and they took over the whole industry just from a female's perspective, talking to females. And so I think that's the same thing, like you were saying, like, how do we find a message that connects with other people? The truth is we find enough different types of people that are passionate like you and I are, and they go talk to their community. They go and talk to their group, and whoever that group is in society.
So
they onboard them.
I had this thought, and it came through in a meditation. I do meditate. I have awoken the energy there at my pineal, and so the other day I was walking through my downtown area, and a girl that I went to high school with, her and her husband and her 10-year-old boy were all there, and the husband and her were drinking margaritas before Friday night's events started there on my downtown square. And we went to high school together, and we went to different middle schools, so we could know each other better being from the same town, but whatever. Really great girl. What happened was it occurred to me that this gal that has stayed around in my hometown, she probably has the rapport that I wish I still had with all the females that I grew up with there in my hometown. And like, maybe I should go to her and say, hey, do you have any sales experience? Do you still have rapport with the people that we grew up with? Because I've lost it. To them, the freedom speaker that is the Hex foodie, throughout the years, at some point, I might have lost their attention. They stopped looking at my stuff on Facebook or whatever it is. And so I'm starting to think like maybe I could go and get in touch with these people that still have the rapport. And I was thinking like I'm trying to get to the girls that I went to school with, who we used to have a great relationship. And now they've gone off and had a whole nother type of life. They have a family now. And I want them to see what it is that I've benefited from, and I want them to benefit as well. And I want them to see what a 5555 stake could do for maybe their child's college fund, or that sort of thing, life goals. But I don't know how to express it to these people. And so I think that I shouldn't be controlling in the way that I express these things to people. Instead, I should just, the cat out of the bag, just keep on letting the cat out of the bag and see where it catches fire, because we have to trust that the hex system is going to work on its own. People are going to value the same things that we value once it is that they recognize the system that is.
Yeah, Hex is going to hex, no matter what.
Hex is going to hex.
Hex is going to hex, and you're approachable enough, and your people skills are good enough that you could talk to a lot of different demographics and communicate well with them, your beliefs or your passions or your interests. But at the same time, their community is not going to latch onto you if you're not in that demographic. So it's a lot easier to find a charismatic person or a leader in a specific demographic, i.e. girls, or i.e. hometown moms, and onboard that one person, even if it costs you $100, even if it costs you $1,000 out of your own pocket. You can do it because, like I said, Hex is going to hex. And as soon as Hex hexes, now you've got someone from a totally different lifestyle and point of view that is now a Hexican.
And this certain girl, she was kind of a loudmouth. She kind of like spread the rumors,
That's that. Let her spread good rumors.
Yeah,
man. Let her spread the gospel of Hex.
Going straight forward. Then,
No, that's what I've come to believe is like, let's reach out to the leaders and the charismatic people in the different communities. And freedom is freedom. Hexicans love freedom. A lot of people that really believed in and fought for political freedom through the military are here. There's a lot of people that were looking for obviously financial freedom. And when you talk to a lot of them are into political freedom in the vein of voluntarists or intentional communities. People that live outside the box, think outside the box, and really want to do their own thing. And so, you have these communities of freedom, and if you can gather them all into one network of freedom communities, then I believe that Hex is a thread that can go through all of those, because whether you like it or not, everyone uses money. And everyone is hoping that they'll have money for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, right? So yeah, and shout out to Barry Rainmaker for real, because he was the first one that talked to me about the females. And at first he said, I really want to get females involved in crypto, and I was like, you're not going to. Like, this is just crypto, since I've been in it, has just been a sausage fest of very opinionated males, usually very intelligent males, but usually very opinionated males that just like to argue, right? Or fight about which crypto is better, blah, blah, blah. And so like at first I didn't accept it right off the bat. I was like, no, women are not going to be in the crypto. You got people like Nerdgirl, you got people like Crypty, who are really have like this desire to help people. When you watch Crypty, you're like, oh, that Crypty is a person that genuinely wants to improve the lives of everyone, regardless of who they are. Like, she doesn't even you don't have to be part of her clique for her to care about you. She's just a really wonderful, caring person. And so I thought these people are just like the outliers. They're the exception to the rule. Yeah. But the truth is, no, if you get someone, a female that can speak to females, and you turn her into a crazy Hexican like we are, then that's going to spread. Just like there's a lot of Avon and Mary Kay and doTERRA. There's a lot of MLMs that figured this out a long time ago. They're like, these women will buy from each other. Pampered Chef, blah, blah, blah. So unless you're a super seller like Kareem that can probably sell to anybody, then you're going to have to reach out to someone in that community to talk to that community,
Yeah, I do understand that. Let's see, what hit like wildfire over here was Advocare, the supplements, those?
Yeah. They're called wildfire, or it caught like wildfire?
It caught like wildfire. It's called Advocare.
Advocare. No, I haven't heard of that yet.
It was well, if you haven't heard of it yet, I don't think you're going to. It's been going on for like 20 years. I think it's kind of you said multi-level marketing. I don't know what its structure is, but that and the Herbalife were things that hit. Mary Kay hit pretty hardcore, and I noticed it amongst the women. And yeah, I totally understand the women are the social beings. They're the ones who wake up every day and do a little bit of makeup in order to see whomever it is that they're going to see in their day. As a male, I need to remind myself every once in a while, like, the people that you see out and about today, like a lot of them took a lot of care in making themselves look nice and presentable for everyone else, and we need to respect that and bring our energy to the table whenever we come out into public as well. Because sometimes whenever you're a male and you're wearing daddy's clothes or whatever it is that your teenager had told you you're wearing,
sad dad.
That's
the style.
We got the same colors day after day. The comfort tee.
Yeah, well, for guys, it's about utility, right?
Yeah.
Guys see a utility in Hex. They're like, hey, if I get this flywheel spinning, then it'll have enough an economic energy and momentum to carry me through to whatever I need. And that's one less thing I got to think about, right? Women are thinking about, well, we need security. We need to provide for the kids. We need to or whatever they desire financially. They're on a totally different frequency when it comes to looking at money, looking at business opportunities, things like that, or investments.
Hey, do you know anything about this comment that Finbear is making? Set up the YouTube so that he can make a short clip of the stream.
I think there's something you can do on your settings that makes it easier to take clips out of your videos. Someone was asking Richard about that a couple months or weeks ago. So
I feel like you can download. You can download the thing first of all. Oh, on Facebook, I'm pretty sure you can download it if YouTube is causing you to. If YouTube is telling you that you need to have a higher grade account in order to download something, I know that on Facebook you're able to, and we are on Facebook. And then thank you so much, Finbear, for being on and letting us know that you're leaving. And we also had like great mic this time around. Your mic sounds great. Finbear's mic sounded great. We're only on stream number 5 right now, and I think that's 6, including yours. Whenever we were over at your place, Hexray.
Right. I think that would be 6.
So I think we pretty much went over everything. So I got some local peaches. If I'm to eat this peach and grab the seed out of the inside of it and plant that into the ground, my area around here does support these stone fruits. Do you think that I would have to have a second fruit tree in order for peaches to be created?
Some fruit trees have male and female.
Yeah.
And some are unisex, so they don't need cross or pollination from the masculine or feminine. So I'm not sure, but I'm sure you could Google that.
Yeah.
And pull that up real quick. But then again, if those grow in your area and they do require the other one, then obviously the other one exists.
Is around somewhere, and so the bees
otherwise
find it as well.
You wouldn't be a local peach, right?
So there's 2 different ways that, well, typically there's the insects or there's the wind. And if you look at the way that corn grows, then they pollinate down upon themselves, and the wind is just enough to get the pollination to go everywhere. But things like peaches, they would actually need the insects to go from tree to tree. And that's one of the awesome things about bees. If you look into bees and all the different types of bees, you ever look into mason bees?
Yeah, we've got a mason bee hive up in our backyard.
Okay.
And they just come and put little mud in the tubes. So it's like a bunch of bamboo tubes all put together in like a little hive. And once in a while, we'll just notice one's plugged up with mud, and that means that a bee's using it.
Yeah, it's like temporary dormitories for the bees, right? They just come and go. They hibernate inside there.
Yeah, and I heard that mason bees do like twice as much pollinating as honeybees, but I don't know where I heard that, so that could just be total fluff.
Let's see. Is it called queen bee? No, that's probably the bad. There's some big mason bee website out there that's spreading all the information about it, and there's a guy who's the owner of the website who has been on multiple podcasts. I thought it was called Queen Bee, but maybe I'm just maybe that's a hip hop album.
Wow, we got a lot of comments in this one.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments inside the Telegram as well.
What are we up to, like 8 viewers or something crazy like that?
Yeah, we got up to 10 earlier.
No. Oh, double digits, baby. Well, this is exciting.
One of them's my cell phone over here off to the side.
Sure.
Because the Hex Streamers website had a problem registering if no one's watching, so I had to make sure that I was. I wanted to like cover some of this stuff that's inside the. Do you have a moment that we can keep going?
Yeah. I'm late to the party, so.
Well, typically I like to keep it at 1 hour, and I just think that that's awesome because we can all bring our energy, we can all say our bit, and then we can break after it. But
we may have missed that 1 hour mark.
I like changing things up. It's all good. I like
I
saying one
feel bad
thing and doing another.
for anyone in the future that's just like they're searching for Hex like 2 or 3 years from now, right? And they're like, Hex foodies, okay, let's check this out. And then they're like, why are these guys talking about peaches for so long? I need to learn how to stake.
If that is your issue, check out the comments below. I'm sure within the day I will have placed all sorts of hyperlinks to the timestamps. I've been doing timestamps lately.
Now you're using StreamYard for this, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and is it hard to? Did you just click on the screen share button and that's how you're pulling up the Telegram here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I've always wanted to do some streams and scroll through all the Twitter stuff. So talk about that. So maybe I'll try that in the future.
Down at the bottom, there is a little screen that says share, and it's got a plus inside the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go. And then just to the side of it, it has a plus and a little human figurine, and it says invite. So there's the two different things. And then I've got it to where right now we've got the screen layout exactly the same. Like the little icon says that there's two people off to the side of a large screen. Mm-hmm. And then so that share screen is just the one I have shared.
Okay. So now what sorry, I think I drew out to you. What were you gonna say? You wanted to try something out? Was it in Telegram or was there something else you wanted to go through?
I think what I'm trying to say is that in Telegram we've got so much activity in the last week that I'd like to talk about a few of these things.
Okay.
Did you happen to watch any of these videos?
No, I'm quite a bit because there were a couple of videos I wanted to watch before I went out of town.
Okay.
And so not having service, I haven't watched anything other than as soon as I got back into service, it was straight up like RH streams. So I went into Richard Hart and I just started listening to everything that I'd missed since I've been out on the playa. And so that's all I've caught up on so far. And I haven't caught up all the way, but
do you listen to it? Do you listen to it at like 1.5 or 2 speed?
I usually listen to Richard real time because I like to pretend that I'm actually hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Because I think he's cool.
Yeah.
I do wish that I could. Yeah, my best friend. I wish I could go through and cut out him reading the questions though. Because it's like 10 to 20 seconds of silence. And the first second it looks like it's frozen because he doesn't move much when he reads.
Right.
So I would love to just go on and rip his videos and cut out all of the pauses and turn these like 3 to 6 hour live streams into 2 hours.
Right.
And then you could 2x and it would just be blah, 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 pop, 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 pop. Where right now you 2x and it's just like it's silence. It's just silence.
But sometimes we need to pick up on that vein of like where this person is going. And it's like I watched this mob breeding. I watched that for the first time at like 2x speed. And then I came back and I watched it again at 1.5 speed. And it wasn't me trying to figure out what's the difference between the two. It's just like I'm trying to gain this information. And then I started watching it at 1 speed because I had enough time in between things. I had already caught up on the Richard stuff. So there's just these ways that people lay out things with their timing and their pace that the information coming across it's so much more digestible. But I'm sure that works differently in different situations because these people, this guy is Norwegian and the other guy, he's a Brit, but he lives in a different country. And it was just the way that the choice of words, the way that they would talk and everything. It was a great, anybody who's interested in this mob breeding who didn't hear me earlier, what he's talking about is taking notes of his flock of whatever. And anytime you have to help them out, you make a note of it. And basically, eventually you'll realize that you need to pull that, the areas where there's problems, just pull those animals out of the breeding cycle. And the next round you'll have it fulfilled with new numbers, with better genetics.
Okay. And so this is not at all like mob grazing.
Yeah, it's not talking about grazing.
My brain read mob grazing because you hear about that a lot in permaculture, but it's mob breeding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so basically he's just saying, look, if you have to help them breed, then their genes aren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool.
And it's another amount of like living inside the system and observing the system. So like in permaculture, they tell you just to move to the property, live there for a year so that you can actually see how everything interacts instead of just coming in there and making blunt changes. And then once you make one change, then it affects another thing. So if you just go there, you witness what is, then you'll know so much. You'll know so much more. You can't even talk about the things that you don't know, of course.
Right. And you'll probably want to live on a temporary structure or a mobile structure during that year, because chances are where you thought the best place for a living structure is not. And so if you start by building a house or something permanent, living in it and observing everything, you'll be like, I should have moved this 80 yards that way, or vice versa, or I should have turned this a little more towards the south, or whatever. But that's a long-term perspective right there. Like to go out to some land and have the patience to observe it for a year before you start swinging an axe or a shovel, or bringing on some machinery. That's dedication.
Well, I'm sure there's other things that you could wrap up, in the time period. Maybe you should catch up on your reading. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that in general. Like what about these novels that you wanted to take care of? I'm sure there are things that could be woven into it, or investigations with other farmers. Like you could have other farmers over. You could make sure that your kitchen is set up the way that you want it, because a huge portion of our life depends on the food that we eat. So you could slow into the atmosphere. I've sat around long enough. I think I can figure out how to sit around going forward.
Awesome.
So yeah, Empty Plane chimes in here and there. These guys, this right here is a daughter of a guy who planted every square inch of his LA property. I think he's in downtown LA. If not, then he's just minutes from downtown. And this was a pretty good video. However, I think this next video that was posted of the same project is much better. He actually provides you scale, like allows you an understanding of how many animals they have. By the way, they have goats on this property near downtown LA. So I'm not sure like how the municipalities look at this. Typically chickens are the things that are allowed, and a certain amount of them, but pigs and goats and
maybe they just say that the goats identify as dogs, and that's what gets them away with it.
Maybe. I did see a cat in one of their images, but I did not see a dog anywhere.
Right.
I think that
I can't imagine there'd be too many predators in downtown LA, other than maybe a couple of coyotes that sneak in that far.
And that would be the reason why you would have a dog.
I think that's the reason a lot of homesteaders have dogs is for predators.
Mm-hmm. And then for cats, then you would just like keep rodents down.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they were getting the milk off of the goats. And it's not that they could sell that milk, because I'm pretty sure that around in my area, if you're selling milk of goats, you have to say that it's for dogs.
Animal food.
Veterinary, yeah.
Yeah, you have to sell it as animal feed to get around all the red tape and BS.
Yeah, I wish Finbear was still on to where he could start talking about BS. He likes to make room for all the freedom.
It's all about freedom, baby.
So then Togo, one of our own, he says, I never have heard about guerrilla gardening. What's this deal about guerrilla gardening? So he
That
opened
sounds
up
like a lot of fun.
he opened up the Reddit forum for
Right.
guerrilla gardening, and golly, and then the best instance of a person being outspoken with guerrilla gardening that I've witnessed is a black guy that does like food is free or something like that down in LA, where
Does he
they
have some YouTube channels, some YouTube videos? So I think that sounds familiar for back in the day.
Yeah, I might be getting the movements mixed up in my head, but Food is Free is definitely an organization.
That sounds really familiar.
And this guy that I'm talking about definitely had videos. And some of the best ones were where they had the sidewalk of the street, and then they had the street right there, and then there's that space in between the sidewalk and the street. And so everybody has this little piece of lawn that is capable of being planted into. Of course, my ideas immediately go to people and their pets pissing on these things while they're either drunk or walking their pets or whatever. But but we live in a society that doesn't need to live in fear anymore. Like, we're constantly told the downside of things, but like, is somebody going to go around and piss on all your plants? No. You're going to have a lot of areas where people are not going to vandalize it, or they're going to overlook the value. It's really funny. Like, you can point to a house that's got landscaping, like food foresting all over it, and to us, we see it as like, wow, that's like $60,000 worth of value all upon this quarter-acre lot or something like that. And somebody else would just look at it as like, oh, there's no value in that at all.
Right.
So it's really interesting when you put the frame around, like the golden ornate frame around leafy greens that you could sell to a restaurant for $200, and like for a big bundle of it, and they can say, this was raised locally. It has these certain slight flavors this way and that. Or you just look at a piece of ground where things have grown out of it. It's really interesting, the framing, and I guess it goes back to the story that you were talking about, and how it is that any sort of entertainment for me whenever I go out is good enough these days. I just want to be entertained. So I'm sure I went on all sorts of tangents. Togosh, he was talking about how he's new to guerrilla gardening, and guerrilla gardening is just throwing seeds all over the place on pieces of property that you don't own. And hopefully you'll understand a little bit more about how permaculture works, so that these seeds that you throw on the ground will actually survive. There's different techniques to this, like seed balls, where you give you wrap up the seeds in a little amounts of nutrients, so that whenever this is exposed to water, then it becomes its own planting soil, and then the seeds have a chance there in the beginning without you. And then also it's a ball, so you can throw these things at a distance, instead of just spreading seed right here in front of yourself. You can actually project them out onto a piece of property. I think seed balls are pretty cool. Have you ever made them?
No, I've listened to quite a few podcasts about making them, and like you said, they sound pretty awesome. As far as like you just go out with a ton of balls full of seed, maybe some fertilizer and some clay, and then you're just lobbing them out there and seeing what volunteers to grow and what doesn't. But I'm pulling up a link right now to Survival Podcast.
Okay.
So back in the day when I was hardcore prepper boy, getting ready for the end of the world.
Yeah, me too.
I listened to this guy for well over maybe 2 decades almost. I've listened to this guy. I'm gonna paste this in the Telegram here.
Okay.
But he's where I learned about Alan Savory and Bill Mollison and Paul Wheaton, and all those guys was through Jack Spirkos, his name. And I think he has a much more rational and logical approach to survivalism. His premise is that everything you do to prepare for tough times should also enhance your life if times don't get tough. So he says, like, survival podcast, something like that, where he says, helping you if times get tough or even if they don't. So, like, for instance, if you save enough money to pay 6 months of bills, then if something bad happens in your life, that's great. If something doesn't happen bad in your life, that's still great. And he kind of takes that approach with gardening and prepping and camping and homesteads and permaculture. He says, look, if this isn't something that makes your everyday life better, then you're just gambling that things are going to fall apart, right? So as long as every day that things don't fall apart, you're actually sinking time, money, and energy into something that's not improving your life, right? So that's why he's into like a lot of aquaponics and things that he finds super interesting and rewarding that'll also help provide food, nutrients, backups, and things of that nature. So he's just really, really level-headed. He's not into the as they call the fear porn, or where people just sit there and they love to imagine the worst case scenario and get crazy about that, So that's his link there in our Telegram. But he's got some amazing guests, some amazing shows. He's been talking about crypto a lot lately, and I've been doing Chinese water torture in his comments and to him directly. I'm like, hey, Hex. If you need to know anything about Hex, let me on. I'll answer any questions anywhere for free at any time. I don't want anything in return. And so he hasn't hit me back yet, but one of these days, Jack. One of these days, you and me sit down and I'll show you the gospel of Hex. So this is some seed balls right here.
So this is just an image of a funny thing that somebody did with seed balls whenever they were making them. So you squash them together. You have everything you need in a tub, like the right amount of each of the soil types, which is dominating in clay and compost, and seeds, and then you're mashing them together. You're rolling them out, and then you can lay them out in egg crates, and for them to catch the sun and dry out. And so somebody had some twigs, and just the fun that happens whenever you're around a bunch of people who are putting their hands in dirt, So I was trying to find a picture that I had taken while I was at Wheaton Labs, and this is the best one that I could find of what the seed balls kind of look like. You can imagine chunking those across a field from the roadside,
Now, Wheaton Labs has been in operation, or they've had their experiment going for how many years?
They bought the property in 2012.
2012. Okay, so almost a decade, right?
Yes.
And do you happen to know, have you guys gone back and checked to see if these seed balls are sprouting, if they're not, like learning what works and what doesn't as far as the seed balls?
This is kind of, so Wheaton Labs is like a university, like a place to learn, a campus to learn. And so I'm thinking that these people may have taken these seed balls with them. Not like on the plane, but in the car with them. I do know that these dried out pretty well because I watched them myself, but there were 12 people making them or something. So then each person makes 2 dozen or something. So I don't know specifically where they ended up.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, I would love to like go back every year and see if what seed balls may be perpetuating life and which ones are just being eaten by mice and and birds because they like seeds. Talking about balls this much, it reminds me of that old Saturday Night Live skit.
Sweaty ball.
My sweaty, it's an old family sweaty recipe.
I love wrapping my lips around your. Just go ahead, have it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to put the Telegram back on there. All right, cool.
And then you got good old Peter up there, and that clip of him being like, "I've sold all my hacks. I've made money. I win, you lose." And I full disclosure, there's a point.
That? What are you talking about, Peter?
The
Which
video,
Peter?
this guy right here.
Is this one here? Oh,
yeah, that homeboy's name is Peter. I'm not gonna say his last name because he's a piece of poo poo.
And that's how like the Peter. There's multiple Peters, right?
Well, there's Peter McCormick.
Yeah,
which I'll say his name because
he's that's just funny.
He's his own joke, right?
Yeah.
But this other Peter's the guy that made the copycat coin, and this is I learned a really valuable lesson with the copycat coin. In fact, I went up, I confessed this sin to the other Hexicans when we had a meetup up in Boise, Idaho. Okay. And I told them, hey guys, like I took 3% of what I had made out of Hex, and I invested it in the copycat coin because they had copied the T-share rate. And anyways, I thought that there were enough snowflakes out there that hated Richard Hart that would invest in this copycat coin just to spite Richard Hart. And what I found out is that snowflakes are broke and don't have any money. And so no matter how much they cry and whine about Richard's personality or whatever they don't like about him, they're all broke. Like they're not swinging the market. They're not making changes anywhere. And so just recently I was finally able, I paid a ton of penalties. I paid thousands of dollars in ETH fees. And I closed every single coin in there out and put it all back in Hex. Now, had I left that money, that 3% in Hex, I would have made a ton of money off of it, where I was lucky to do a little bit better than break even. But I feel like Peter in that video because I'm saying, hey, I cashed out, I emergency end staked, I'm up this much. But if you compare it to Hex, it's stupid. It's pathetic. It's pitiful. What I would have made if I just left with a good leader like Richard Hart and a good project like Hex. So for anyone out there thinking that you're going to make more money than Hex somewhere else, you're probably not. Like chances are you're not. You're just gonna get a little bit of regret and lose some gains.
If you're new to Hex, just stake for 5,555. That's the maximum amount that you can, and then catch up to all the mindsets that we're already at. Yeah. Because those mindsets are really, really valuable, but they're invisible to you. And so like whenever it is that we're talking to people on the street, we've got to get them through like 3 vails. We have to get them through cryptocurrency being real. We have to get them through them being their own banker, and we need to get them through self-respect, working, having your hands on your numbers.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's just easier to set up a stake for them if you like them enough, if you trust them enough, and then keep a copy of the seed words, because chances are, even if you tell them these are the most important words in the world, they haven't experienced that yet. And so, yeah, keep a copy of the seed words because you're the one giving them the money most likely. Or if they're willing to put their own money and time into it, then great, you know, like just show them the ropes, walk them through whatever they need to walk through. And either whether you onboard them by giving them money or they put their own money into it, Hex is going to Hex.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to worry about if Hex is going to have a bad year. It's Hex. Like,
and Finbear made a comment the other day that said, like, hey, just wait 47 days. And that's typically how long it takes until a new all-time high is made.
Yeah, because when I would get people into Bitcoin, I'd be like, hey, wait 3 years. There's a happening coming in 3 years. You just don't touch anything for 3 years. Which is that's a tough sell.
Yeah, and if they're not locked up, it's like the moment.
Yeah, well, and they're not getting rewarded for those 3 years either.
Yeah,
they're getting dumped on every day by miners. They're getting, you know, they're watching their exchange get into bed with government, local and national, and add more stupid, you know, red tape and BS to the whole system. And so it's not much better than holding dollars, really.
I explain Hex as the first cryptocurrency where you can earn interest on your Bitcoin. So yeah. I just say, like, this is the first Bitcoin that you can earn interest on. And just like, are you interested or are you not? Bitcoin, they show it on the TV and they talk good and bad about it, or they talk only bad about it, but they still keep talking about it. So there's something there, you know, unwrap the present that they're not telling you the deeper meanings of.
Well, I met a lot of people that bought Bitcoin and Ethereum. They'll be like, oh, it wasn't a lot, but, you know, I bought some. Like a ton of people that I gave stickers to, that was their exposure to crypto, was Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Doge on Robinhood. But I tell them, you know, I agree, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum are really interesting, you know, because I was buying Bitcoin when it was $300, and hanging on to Bitcoin for that long was not pleasant at all. It was stressful because the whole time you're holding Bitcoin, you're hoping you don't have to sell it for an emergency or something that you need.
Yeah.
And then I told them, you know, look, I'm financially free because of Hex. And I show them the sweet tattoo because they're like, what is this? I'm like, it's right here, baby. It's the same thing I've got right here. And then their eyes got big because they're like, okay, this guy's either crazy or very committed. And so I tell them, look, I'm financially you know, secure now, but if my Bitcoin had paid me interest to hold it those years, I would have been financially free years and years ago. If Bitcoin had just paid me for my good behavior. And here you have Hex paying people for good behavior, and once you get rewarded for good behavior, it literally rewires your brain. It literally pairs your dopamine pleasure rewarding centers with delayed gratification. It's insane. It honestly changes your paradigm on a physical and mental level. And so that's why I love taking people and saying, whatever you can afford to lose, whatever's $50, if $50 is something you go out and spend on a meal and you don't think about that much, let's lock it up for 15 years. Just consider this a lottery ticket or something, entertainment. Consider it entertainment, and just watch it on your StakerApp. And within 2 months, they're losing their mind.
And then they're hooked and our job is done.
They're like, dude, this doubled, this tripled. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it does. But then I point out the interest on their staker. I'm like, look, this is extra. This is on top of the price going up. This is money that you made for doing absolutely nothing but keeping your word, just waiting, just being patient. And so if someone has Bitcoin and you explain it like that, you're like, hey, what if your Bitcoin snowballed while you held it? That clicks into people that have Bitcoin, you know?
Yeah.
Other than that, you've just got to set it up for them and let them watch it like a fish tank or something like that, you know?
Well, it's going to be really cool whenever StakerApp updates. They're going to make it to where, like, you can assign each of your stakes with a name, so you can remind yourself of, you know, these are the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. And they'll have other ways that you can interact with your stakes and be constantly reminded of, these are your life goals.
Right.
You are rewarding yourself from a past self. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like that steak dinner that you ate the other day is still kicking in today.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I have a lot of my stakes ending on February 15th. And a lot of people think I'm a romantic and it has to do with Valentine's Day. But it doesn't. February 5th, like the middle of February, when I was working up in the oil fields, and it was colder than should exist in this reality, like just stupid cold. Right there around the middle of February was like the worst of the worst, because you knew you were kind of you were far away from the warm weather, about as far as you're going to get right there, And so I set all these stakes to remind myself how much I hated working in the cold in the oil fields. So I don't know. I guess my wife's going to have some really kick-ass Valentine's Days, but that wasn't the intention.
That's awesome.
A lot of people, I tell them, pick a date that's special to you. Whether you love Christmas or an anniversary or a birthday of someone that you love, that you like, a really important date in your mind. And I usually have them stake on that date when we go out and do their ladders. So, okay, well, we'll do a 15-year stake on that day, whether it's, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, or your grandma's birthday that you loved, right? And then we're going to go 10 years on her birthday. Then we're going to go. And once you get that locked in their mind, it really helps them remember, like, oh, hey, I've got this coming out on this date in this many years or whatever. And like you were saying, with I can't remember what I was going to say.
That's cool.
It's gone
you
now.
have it related to like my grandparents aren't alive anymore, but I could relate it to their birthdays, and something that you're looking forward to, 10 years, 10 more years of this certain increment. That's pretty neat. I, however, tell people to stake for like every 6 months, have it to where every 6 months something's coming out, so you're never caught off guard financially. You can kind of see things coming ahead.
How far out do you set the first one, though? Because I tell people, if you're not locking for 2 years, keep it liquid on Ethereum, because you never know what the fees are going to be. But in 2 years, you can at least break even on a really bad fee with your interest and price appreciation. But anything less than that, I tell them. But so do you? How far out do you start? Do you start the first one at 6 months then, and then just keep laddering out from there, or do you go work backwards?
No. So this was my advice that I used to give out was, hey, have one every 6 months. But it wasn't like from that point set 6 months. It was just sort of like set up a ladder, and then this stuff that's closer to us, take your best judgment. So basically nowadays I tell people don't stake anything less than like a year and a half or something like that. And it's because we're talking about money that's like $200 worth right now. But I definitely tell people to do the longest stake that they could possibly think of, like believing in this system to work for them, so that they can see these numbers that are behind it, and how fast the StakerApp will show you that you're getting off the ground and you're actually making something for yourself in the future. Because everybody has an idea of what they look at a financial number, and then they immediately think about like what it is that they could buy with that. Like, where they would be set to, like, maybe purchase land. A lot of my friends, they want to purchase land.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about buying stuff we like.
Yeah. So
let's talk about being able to afford, afford whatever you want, like not looking at the price tag of stuff.
You and I are both postponing our gratification. Like, I don't plan on buying anything like a new car or land. It's not in my immediate future. I'm I'm planning on this group helping me decide on what it is that I'm to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I really dig the idea because I've looked at a lot of land recently, and it used to be, what's within my budget or what's within a certain location. Like if you work at a job and you want to go buy some land to go turn into a homestead or a farm or something, it's got to fit with your job, unless you're telecommuting. Like you're like, okay, well, on the weekends, I got like a 2-hour radius around my house that I can go there. I can work on the land and be back to work, be back to the house Sunday night, get ready, hit work in the morning, right? But when you replace things like that, you're like, I could buy land anywhere I want and as much as I want at any price I want. Then it's like, okay, well, now what can I afford, or what am I going to have to do to this barren soil that no one else wants? And that's why it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like I can actually buy something that's pretty close to a food forest and tweak it, instead of, well, I've got to bring in the water, I've got to terrace this, I like starting from scratch, like greening the desert with was that Bill Mollison? No, that was with
Greening the Desert was Lawton?
Lawson, yeah.
Jeff
I
Lawton?
think Jeff Lawton, that's it, right, yeah. To where they brought in everything but the sand and make that thing work. And so it's really cool that when you have this discussion with a lot of permaculturists, that's what they'll say, well, I want, sometimes they'll base it on the temperature, the weather, the zone, the frost zone, right? Like the minimal temperature zone. Sometimes they'll base it off of soil, or sometimes they'll base it off of water. But 90% of the time, they're like, I just want freedom. I want 1 acre, 2 acres of land that I can call my own and do my thing with, right? They want that sovereignty more than anything. And so this whole Hex Foodies group and the Hexicans, I think we're going to find an exciting place to call home, or more than one place to call home, where we can go build. You can come and build your wafati. You can come stay for a weekend. You can come stay for 6 months, because again, that's another commitment that you're making when you have to work a job. If you work at a job, you're like, okay, I can spend this much time on this place. Or if I'm lucky enough to turn it into an actual homestead, I'm planning on living there and I'm stuck there, right? Where now, if you have the ability to move and spend as much time as you want wherever you want, then that opens up the possibilities and the creativity to flow on that piece of land. And I'm really excited to see what that does to the permaculture conversation right there, because that flips a lot of those paradigms on their head. Because it starts with an idea of abundance, but it quickly becomes an idea of scarcity. Like, okay, I have this many acres, I have this much water, I have this much money, I have this much time, I have this many building materials. But when you take that away, then it's like it becomes a beautiful, creative, artistic expression of the person.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be some really cool things coming out of Hex Foodies, especially in the next few years. And I really look forward to visiting more places with you and Rogue Herbalist, or whoever can make it. I think we should invite as many people as possible and get as many perspectives as possible when we go and do this tour of intentional communities. And honestly, I mean, me going out to Renegade, that was an intentional community. Granted, it's a 1 week long, it's a very temporary intentional community, but it's a community that gets together to play, to express themselves, to share their music and their art, and just an incredible experience. So I really look forward to traveling with you guys and learning as much as we can from other communities before we establish our own.
Cool.
So
yeah, there's just so many ways this could go, and we definitely want it to be the organic route.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if with that in mind, like if it is that somebody or something comes like too far in, too rigid, then they're going to be rounded off, or they're going to not be interested and bounce off.
Yeah, or they can start their own place, which is fine, right?
Their own flavor.
Their own flavor. If you have a bunch of competing communities, then you're going to really see stuff shine. If you have one community that everyone's trying to turn into what their vision, you're probably going to have a lot of butting of heads and a lot of conflict. But even if we all went in on one giant piece of land and split it up and just said, this is my little 10 acre kingdom over here or whatever, then you'd be learning from each other so quickly. The sharing of ideas would go so much faster if people were doing their own thing. And I mean, granted, I would come help you, and I'm sure you'd come help me. But for the most part, I can take my land and say, this is what I'm doing in my little kingdom. And then a year or two later, I'm looking around the other kingdoms, and maybe I'm like, yeah, I'm copying your stuff. Or vice versa, right? You might be like, yeah, we spend a stupid amount of time collecting wood over here. We're just gonna run a gas line or get a bigger propane tank and focus on this other stuff that we're more interested in, or whatever it is. But so, anyways, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna go here in a little bit. But what do you have to plug? I've got, like I said, I'm going to be in Salt Lake on October 16th.
Okay.
We're putting that together. It's still very loose with the details, but we're going to pull those together by then. Reno, I believe, is September 23rd or something like that. Let me pull it up. I'll pull it up right here really quick because I definitely want to give these guys a shout out. I really appreciate the fact that Hex Lion Patrick and Abit are spending their time and energy going around and really putting their money where their mouth is and hitting the road like old-timey missionaries, man. I think it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. And like I said, regardless of what people think about this year, regardless if there's 2 people that show up to your meetup or 30 or 1,000, next year it's going to be more. And next year it's going to be more. Because this year, even if you help 3 people make stupid money, they're going to share it. So whoever you get to these workshops is definitely going to share it. So yeah, so San Diego's going on like right around now, today. And then they're going to go Ramona, California tomorrow, Los Angeles on the 11th. San Francisco is September 18th. So anyone that happens upon this that I met there in Renegade, a lot of them were from San Francisco and a lot of them were from Reno. So Reno is September 25th. San Francisco is September 18th. And then they go up to Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Spokane, Boise, and then Salt Lake, the one that I'll be doing. So Boise's going to be on October 13th. Salt Lake's on the 16th, October 16th. And then Minneapolis, is Halloween the 30th or the 31st? I don't know. Minneapolis is the 30th, so that might be Halloween. But yeah, they're going through Denver, St. Louis. I might even run over to Denver depending on what's going on.
I'm thinking I might run over to Florida and come with everybody back towards Texas and then on to Vegas for the meetup right after that.
I think Florida's got some partying going on. Because if you look at the Gap, I believe someone's having a birthday party there in Florida. So you see that Miami says 28th and 29th, and then they're not showing up to Tampa till the 7th. Like that's I think that's a nice long weekend party down there that they're going to be doing. So if you guys are around Miami and Orlando, start making friends with Patrick and Abit, because you might be able to have some fun with them down there.
Leroy C4 in the chat is asking, what are you doing in Salt Lake City? And what he's talking about is the Hex road trip. And so over in the Telegram group, what is the Telegram group called?
US Road Trip, I believe.
US Road Trip here.
So yeah, if you search up US Road Trip chat with no spaces, there's US Road Trip and US Road Trip chat. I think someone just started a different one on purpose, but it's a workshop. So we're going to have the crazy Germans show up in Salt Lake around on the 16th. And then they'll run a workshop that kind of explains what hex is to people that are not familiar with it. We'll have some food and some music, and be hanging out there on the 16th.
And you might actually go to Denver afterwards, or are you just thinking out loud?
I'm thinking out loud. Truth is, I thought I could find someone to edit all these videos so they would publish them, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I might have to become an editor.
Yeah, I was afraid of that in the first place.
Because I've got footage, I've got stuff, I've got things to say, man.
From what? What
message?
You got footage from whenever we were together, right?
From the OSR. I've got some
which really quick. That's a Mormon community that's trying to make a intentional community in the middle of a desert where there's a underground river in a valley.
It's like a 60% Mormon. It's mostly LDS Mormon community out there that is trying to become as self-sufficient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there's that. And then I have the footage and the experience over at Burning Man or Renegade. Sorry, Burning Man purists. Don't mean to take that name in vain.
Maxis.
But, the Burning Man org Maxis, you know. But I have some, like I said, I learned so much watching the community of Hex develop, and watching the community of the burners, and watching the community of the anarchists or voluntarists that I've been a part of, and even the community of Permies and Survival Podcast. You find this thread that goes through the hearts of all these people, and it's almost inevitable that it's going to grow and succeed. And so let's get together a community of communities. Now, that being said, I did try throwing this to you and have you plug all of your stuff, like where can we follow you on Twitter? What YouTube channels can we watch of yours? How do we support and promote your information to both the Permi community and the Hexagon community?
So let's see. I'm Eco Davin on Facebook. I'm Davin Hoyt on YouTube, and there you will find why I call myself Eco Build, because I've got appropriate technology mechanisms that I have modeled in 3D, and then you can walk through them with my YouTube videos. I've got like 330, almost 340 subscribers on YouTube. And then Hex Foodies now has formed, and Hex Foodies is on Telegram and Facebook and YouTube. And that's where I think that we'll be able to see more of who is this person. But I created Hex Futures on YouTube in order to create an area where I would think deeply about Hex and what Hex can do in the future. And I've been much less active on that, but on Twitter, I'm ecobuild_Davin, because Davin is my name. But yeah, so maybe I need to formulate more, who I am, what I'm doing, in order to answer your question more specifically. But I like this Hex Foodies format here, where I'm just another person, a moderator, if you will, in this space where anybody can come out and be a part of the party. And maybe I've looked at something just a little bit differently than you have, and maybe I can show you this perspective that I see that's unique, and I hope that you'll do the same for me, because I have been eating well. I do have my mind about me. I do believe in myself. I do believe in freedom.
Awesome. And then also you've got Hex Futures on YouTube with some videos on there as well.
Yeah, so that's where I used to do a lot more, but that's me doing videos that have to do about hex.
Awesome.
And so just like thinking about topics of who, like what we're doing here, but thinking about them on a local level. Like, who is it that you can actually introduce hex to, and it would blossom something in your local community? So we're talking about like counselors in your area, maybe people who, and I'm saying like counselors as in like people who are professional,
like consultants.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I really want to get out into my local area and start shilling hex rather than necessarily like being behind the computer screen trying to shill hex. You know, like you make a video and you post it to Facebook and it's like, okay, how many people actually see that and take it for what it's worth, rather than this person that you see at the coffee shop every day. Maybe that person would be a lot more open to your message. So the reason why I was talking about the council or it took me for a spin is because like I really do think that we could go and introduce hex to people who are still in high school, and instead of like teaching them the spreadsheet that is like, this is how the stock market works, and if you were to, you know, you go into like your class that teaches you about Excel spreadsheets, or at least they were Excel, Microsoft Word processor or whatever that is. Whenever I was in school, it was Excel. And so you make a spreadsheet and you say, if I was to put a certain amount of money into the stock market, like back in the day, it was Home Depot and Dell, I think is what my case study was. How much would you make at the end of the year? I think Toys R Us I wanted to do also, because I still had this fondness of being a kid and playing with cool toys that you thought could be expounded into the rest of the world. And so it was this process where you got two birds with one stone. You taught the kids about finances, and you also taught them about like how to organize a spreadsheet. And like, what if it was that they were organizing the spreadsheet for hex? Would their eyes bulge out? But would they know what to do with that wealth? Would it change their character? Maybe that sort of thing needs to be decided. Maybe a child needs to be put in the situation of like, okay, now you all of a sudden have $10,000. What would you do with it? Would you be responsible enough? Like, you ever do that with your children? Like, make them play games with their allowance?
No, not really. I've got one son and 4 daughters, and this is going to sound probably horrible and backwards and sexist, but I assume that most of my daughters will be taken care of by guys that find them attractive. Even though that's old-fashioned, I do support them in whatever they want to do career-wise or being independent. But, you know, on average, mostly guys in society are expected to provide for themselves. And women sometimes are, and some of the times they aren't, depending on their circumstance. So if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I think that's great. And I think that, you know, hopefully you find the man in your life that works with, that's going to support you to stay at home and raise the children if that's what you want to do. But I have given all of my kids hex, and so they're actually faced with this real life problem. Like, they look at their StakerApp and they look at their end of their stake, and they're like, and I ask them, so what are you going to do? And some of them have no clue. They're like, I don't know, Dad. Like, they haven't thought. But then like some of the my other kids are like, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to pursue this passion, or, you know, whatever it is at this point in time, whatever their perspective is. But yeah, so in real life, I've done it with hex. But before that, I always just figured my daughters are pretty cute. They stand a pretty good chance of getting someone to support them. And then my boy, I was just like, that was the one that I spent a lot of time with. Like, what are you interested in? What do you want to build a career in? What's your passion? You know, and unfortunately Hex has ruined that too, because he's if there's going to become a point where it will be just his choice or his passion. Thank goodness. So he probably won't have to go through that slew of bad jobs that most people go through as they're, turning 18, 19, 20 or whatever.
Trying to figure it out.
And I just, while we were talking, I just changed my name to HEXrayvision on Telegram. So you can find me at HEXrayvision on Telegram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Cool.
And like I said, I'm going to get pumping some stuff out now that I've had some time to play and relax. Start to figure out a schedule to get some stuff accomplished. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see this stuff. Like whenever it was that Richard started releasing new video shots of him because of that documentary.
Yeah,
we're able to see Richard in a different light. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, I'm going to bounce. Really, thanks for going over just a little bit over an hour to chat with me.
We're at 3 hours and 30 minutes.
For your patience in setting this, because this isn't my setup at all. This is just extra stuff that I just started plugging in to get onto the stream.
I feel like there's studs and like exposed studs in your background.
That's a mirror.
Okay.
So that's why you're seeing like nothingness behind it, the void.
Yeah. You wanted to you turn everything around so that we don't know what's going on.
Well, I had to grab an extra webcam because all of my fancy cameras like this thing right here, they're all set up into my streaming setup, and I never learned how to join a setup on my stream on my new system. So like I can stream just beautifully. If you showed up here, we would stream wonderfully. But joining a stream is something I didn't even think about figuring out. So I've got to figure out how to join a stream for my actual setup, because this is like Tinker Toys.
If you look at my private messages on Telegram to you, you'll find the Hex Foodies YouTube password. So I shared that with you, and I shared that with Hex Dragon as well.
Oh, that's perfect.
So that, just this is anarchy here. So you can do the streaming and invite me to Hex Foodies as well.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing it right here.
I'll send it again.
Dragon. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I sent it to you in private messages. In Telegram.
Hey, and this to the 3 people still watching. If you guys trust me with an address, if you private message me either on Twitter or Telegram and send me your address, or any address, really, could be your work address or whatever, I don't care, I'm going to mail you out some stickers. So,
sounds like a dare.
It is a dare. Because here's the thing, I put my return address on all of those.
You did.
You're getting my address too, which I don't think that's actually good OPSEC, but I trust the Hexicans as much as just about anybody. So
I was going to ask you, should I throw that away or burn it? Or
no, you should send me back. I don't know, a sticker. I'm really into stickers. Like I said, actually I'm going to do a little bit of show. This is my show and tell.
You're into having
so
pals too.
as I was giving out the Hex and Pulse Chain stickers out there, I got some of these really cool stickers from the people out there at Renegade. So cool. Like this is my favorite one right here. It says this never happened and I was never here. I don't know how well that's picking it up, but yeah, that's badass. I saw that around and I wanted it. But yeah, everyone comes up with their own little, symbols or groups. There's a group out there that takes care of picking up the trash and trying to keep it nice out there so that we don't get kicked off of it. So shout out to the BlackRock, High Rock. Let's see, BlackRock, High Rock, friends of BlackRock. That's it. So they're out there cleaning it up and taking care of it year round when people aren't partying.
That's neat. I'd like to know more about that.
There's a lot of cool groups out there. A lot of hippies, and a lot of fun people like to party.
This explains why all these forerunners and those types of vehicles running through my town with like stickers on the back of them, all over the place, stickers.
They're probably,
I
and
get it
actually,
now.
Texas has a regional burn called Flipside.
Mm.
And the last information I found on it was in 2017. So I don't know if they're running it right now, but there are regional burns that you can go to. Bring lots of water and
Yeah,
bring
lots of water and snacks for yourself, don't you think?
water, snacks, and usually something to give away, because
Mm.
everyone there is giving away something cool, something unique, a lot of art, a lot of cool people out there. So yeah, go there. Bring everything you need to survive of your own, because they teach radical self-reliance is what they call it. So like the first rule of this is to take care of yourself, bring enough stuff for yourself,
So
and then bring something to share or give, offer to someone else.
did anybody have a QR code as like their gift?
No, I didn't see
Okay.
a QR code anywhere out there. In
How
fact,
were people like were people using their cell phones like
yeah,
to
but
look up stuff because you
the
didn't have coverage?
the service is so bad that I did a couple texts, but what they'll do is they'll type something in their phone. So I
Okay.
had people type in my name or some of the hex channels and things like that into their phone if they're really interested. And then when they get back to regular life that they call the default, then they start looking this stuff up in their spare time.
The default. That's
The
awesome.
default.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
I do is I tell people you can keep your business card. Let me just take a picture of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot more convenient than carrying around a bunch of cards. So anyways, I'm out. I'm gonna
Cool, man.
bounce and go eat. They brought me back some food a while back.
Awesome.
This conversation was just too delicious to let go.
Yeah, of course. Now that your food's cold, go enjoy it.
Awesome. And I hope to see as many of the Hexicans as I can up in Salt Lake, obviously. And of course, March 6th through the 9th. Like, that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So yeah, Leroy, you gotta send me an address. Leroy C4.
Hey Leroy, are you out on the work site right now?
Message. Leroy, he works. I worked with Leroy before I retired, and he was one of the quickest learners when it came to like hex. Like I started talking to him about it, and a couple of the other dudes, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going deep into this," and yeah, he's a smart cookie. So yeah, Leroy, DM me an address, and I'll send you some stickers.
He's still trading T-shares for time out right now.
Yeah. He said, "What?"
Yeah. What?
What? Maybe I'll have to DM him so he knows how to DM or PM or whatever it's called.
Private
Oh,
message.
he's in Idaho right now. Well, then send me an Idaho address. You don't have to send it here on the comments. That's probably not a good idea, but you just click on my name in either Twitter or Telegram, and then it should be able to send me a personal message. So anyways, other than that, so next Tuesday, you're hoping to fire it back up?
Yes.
Right.
So every Tuesday at noon Central, Hex Foodies will have a live stream. Everybody's welcome to come feast on the bone.
Nice. Awesome. Awesomeness. All right. Cool. Thanks again for letting me in.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
I think I'm going to continue for just a little bit longer. Yeah. Just cause.
All right. Cool. I'm glad you're fired up. And I'll check with you later.
Alrighty.
So
cheers.
Have a great day. Later.
You too. Thanks for coming on. Okay, everybody. Let's see. It looks like they're going to connect Leroy and HEXray. HEXray, you can find him very active on Twitter. In fact, I think he came on stream because I tweeted about him prior to this. I'm blown away by Richard's documentary, like how we're able to see him in a different light. There are teasers out there right now. I highly recommend you check those out. In fact, My girlfriend asked me, like, why is it that I think that the hex price is going up lately? And I just told her because it's about dang time. The amount of people that are selling have gone down. The amount of people that are buying have gone up. But then Richard released this 20-minute video of how the markets are doing and how everything's progressing. It was basically a heads up to the haters. It's a pretty neat little video where he just explained like how everything's going, and it's going well, and it's only going to get better. So come check it out. And the quality of the video is great. Supposedly he's been traveling just a little bit, spending some money just a little bit, and allowing people into his vicinity just a little bit in order for them to document how well Hex has been doing. And so eventually what this is going to be it's going to be a documentary. It's going to be like, you know, a 2-hour movie that you're going to watch, that you're going to be blown away by 2-3 years from now. You know, not saying it's going to take that long to release. It just might take a while for us to bust through all of this, all the setbacks that are in front of us. But the guys who are doing the road trip, they talk about a $7 hex, and I don't blame them for thinking that far in the future. I mean, we made it up to 40 cents just recently. That's mind-blowing. If we make it to 50 cents, that's mind-blowing. When we make it to $1, it's gonna probably fly by dollar so fast. Because I'm in my mind, I think like $1.25, $1.20. I really don't see it sitting at $1 too much at all. That's such a buying price. And HEXrayvision can talk about it much better than I can, because he watches these pools of people related to the price and people's social activity. But I can't keep up with everybody's social activity. I made notes throughout this week, and I guess we got to all of them. I could do a random question for myself. That would be fun. Random question. Ooh, that one's not good. Everybody needs to drink more water. You need to lubricate your system. Definitely need to hydrate. I have some hydrogen pills that I add to my water. They are awesome. I'm going to have some right after this. By adding water to your system, you will just have a better life. It's like changing your mode of thinking. In fact, you could just think to yourself and you could hydrate certain joints. I can do it to my hand right now. Think about the water increased in my hand. Now in between my fingers, more and more water is delivered. And like the length of your hand can actually grow whenever you do this. Y'all drink more water. All right, I'm going to call it quits because I'm silly on camera alone. Thank you so much for being here, Leroy. Here's your last comment. Yeah, dude, stop on by. The temperature should be dropping in October. And I'm posted up in Georgetown. That's just north of Austin. Any Hexican that wants to come and chillax in Georgetown or in Austin, give me a holler. And then we'll be here every Tuesday, noon Central, for anybody to join in. And what you need to join in is a cell phone, a smartphone, and your own headphone set, so that the audio that comes through the cell phone doesn't come back in to the speaker, to the microphone. Instead, you'll have a separate connection for your ears and your audio. And then after that, we can get you to update to a better mic, headset. We can teach you about awesome cameras. This is the same Logitech camera that you're looking at right now, or looking through. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for coming out. It has been way too long, but 3 hours and 44 minutes. And I'll do the timestamps for this. I'm the one who has to face how long this thing is and mine the gold out of it. We are Hex Foodies on Facebook, Telegram, and YouTube. Hex Foodies Telegram, come out, join the flavor. We've got, how many do we have? We've got 47 members and tons to talk about. And so this right here is my quickest onboard. His name's Empty Plane, and he's pressing some apples here, cider press. And then another one of our, I wanted to highlight this. This thing here is sandbox play, and it's a way that you can play with the moisture that's going to fall on your property. And so you like actually lay this out. It reads the topos from a projector up above, and it gives you a color down on the sandbox. And you can actually put grooves into the sand, acting like that is your land formation, and then ask the program to allow water, and it just does it in the projection upon the soil surface. You can ask it to add rain, and it adds this rain, and the water puddles up. And so you can see where it is that a spillway would be, where the water escapes from a pond and it goes around the dam down into the other portions of your terrain. And in this video, this guy, he puts foliage into it as well to really like foliage and some trucks and stuff in order for you to see it. Like, this is the scale that we're talking about, because it could be any scale. We could be talking about an inch equals a foot, which is kind of the scenario here, but we could also be talking about like an inch equals 500 feet. And this guy was talking about, what was he talking about? I guess just regenerative landscape. And so that was a good listen. I wish I took notes so I could share them. And here was more of the same projection, playing in the sandbox. That was a pretty cool thing. I wanted to lay out the timing that we could do on a live stream, and Finbear and I kicked the crap out of this live stream. And then after that, HEXrayvision came in, and we just opened it wide up. This here is a mama cow that is for sale by one of our Hexicans. I think, she's in Idaho, our Hexican. So she just wanted to advertise her mama cow and how it had produced some good offspring, but also she wanted to give us her web address. So she is a Hexican farmer reach out to her if you want to do some farming or buy some farming stuff. Where her website is littlecowmountain.com. We have a Hexican selling a female cow, and her website is littlecowmountain.com. All right, guys, like I said many times before, I'm going to cut it off. Thanks so much for being here. Peace. This is a crypto takeover, hex.com.